I'm Caroline Hyde at Bloomberg's World Headquarters in New York.
And I'm Ed Ludlow in San Francisco. This is Bloomberg Technology.
Coming up in the next hour, Sam Bankman-Fried says he's willing to testify before the U.S. House Financial Services Committee about the collapse of his crypto empire. We'll tell you what to expect from next week's hearing.
Plus, Huawei strikes a deal to license tech to a handset rival, a bitter pill to swallow for the Chinese tech giant that's blocked from selling its tech in the US. We speak to two of their key executives.
And we continue our coverage of China's risk to dropping its COVID-0 stance, plus changes to Tesla's Shanghai factory amid slowing consumer demand. We have you covered. First, though, foremost, it is a markets day for us, of course. We are once again seeing the wind taken out of the sails of equities. We're seeing down 0.75%. So exhausting that this camera is getting all overexcited by what's happening in these markets. Come closer. No, back off. We're having a look at the Nasdaq, off by 0.7%. Look, these benchmarks are off by at least 3.5–4% on the week overall, Ed. And this, in large part, is because we're worrying about where the Federal Reserve is going. We're concerned, for example, about how far they have to hike when we're seeing a PPI, a producer price index, that shows that prices are just showing such resilience. Inflation showing such resilience in the face of what have been rapid rate hikes by the Fed. 10-year yields have been climbing almost 10 basis points. Let's have a look at what's happening overall in terms of our recession risks, as we are anticipating the worry about a recession. We are seeing the entire market just getting nervous. If we can flip up the board, we've really got this chart that has evidence of where we've been going in terms of the pick up. Now 60% chance, basically, the market sees there will be in a recession, so a contraction in this economy in the US come next year. Ed.
Yeah, I want to zero in on what you're saying as well. I mean, it's a funny end to the week where investors take money off the table when it comes to major tech and software names. There were a few standouts. We've been talking about Broadcom. It is bucking the trend, reporting a strong forecast for the fiscal first quarter, demand from data centers for its chips, that stock benefiting. Tesla rebounding after 4 straight days of declines. We're going to get into it later in the show, but it looks like they're going to wind down activity at the Shanghai plant temporarily to make upgrades to the line, and investors getting more detail now about what's going on in China. Etsy continues to be an underperformer on the S&P 500, worst performing tech stock on that index, and then Coinbase hitting a record low. Look, there's some kind of ongoing or lingering worries about what Coinbase said earlier in the week, that revenue for full year 22 down 50% from that crypto winter or sell-off in crypto. And actually, if you look at major crypto tokens or digital tokens over the last week or so, it's been choppy trading. There's no sort of reason or rhyme that's driving investor psychology in this space, but that's sort of warning from Coinbase that the full year picture is now not so good, is actually murky, if anything, has continued to see declines in some of those major digital assets, Caroline.
And we just got to keep talking about this contagion effect, keep talking about what happens next week, what clarity we get, if any, because we know that the former FTX CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, says he is actually willing to testify. How did he tell us? Of course, he told us through Twitter. He announced it in a series of tweets, in fact, saying he will answer questions about the fall of his crypto empire from the U.S. House Financial Services Committee. Let's bring in Alison Versprell from Washington, who has been all across this story. And, of course, so, too, has our own Shonali Basak, who, of course, will be heading out to Washington to that hearing next week. And, Alison, just what did you make of the transparency we're getting through the former Twitter? How are we seeing the actual senators trying to speak to Sam Bankman-Fried himself?
We're seeing everyone is using Twitter. We see Maxine Waters from the House Financial Services Committee is increasingly used that to put pressure on Sam to testify. We've also seen Senator Toomey came out with his own tweet today that said, Sam, if you do show up at the House Committee's hearing, you better show up at our hearing the next day. So, everyone's using social media.
It's kind of painful. I mean, I think, was it Susie put in best himself is like, he's like, no, I can't watch movies. They're not exciting enough. I'm just addicted to crypto Twitter. And aren't we all? And Shonali Basak is key among them. Just talk to us about not only what you're going to be following through Twitter, but what you're going to be following, Shonali, on the ground, because you're going to be there, you're going to be expecting testimony from who, and are they the right kind of people to be giving testimony?
That's an interesting question, because there are a lot of academics that are being called upon the House and the Senate hearings. Remember, there's only one set of small witnesses posted on the Senate committee site. We don't have everything from the House itself at all yet. And remember, Sam Bankman-Fried said he's willing to testify. Will he show up and testify? There was no subpoena up till this point as well. So a lot of questions about whether he'll be there in person. Remember, he does say that what he is trying to do is address not only FTX and the pathway to return value to shareholders, but also what led to the crash. We'll be looking at what he says versus what he has said before, as well as he says his own failings. He also said he doesn't have access to much of his own data, personal or professional. So you have to wonder why he doesn't have that access and what kind of data he will not be able to allegedly provide to the lawmakers as they question him if he makes it there to the Hill next week. So again, the House on Tuesday, the Senate on Wednesday, and remember, the senators have also been seeking to try to get them there as well, but they did not reply to them in time for the testimony so far. So logistically, let's see if he makes it to both.
Team, Shonali has just gone to the exact point that I want to bring up. In fact, super producers, let's bring his tweet back up again and look at what he said. Because what I'm not understanding, Alison, is what would we learn from SBF on Capitol Hill that we haven't already learned in the many appearances and communications that he's made in the last 7 to 10 days?
That's a great question. And I honestly, I feel like we're probably going to hear a lot of the same things. He'll say that he didn't intentionally mean to commit any sort of fraud. He'll probably talk about the fact that maybe he made some managerial mistakes. So I'm sort of expecting it to be along the same lines. I'm actually maybe more interested in hearing the testimony of John J. Ray, who is the current CEO, kind of helping with the restructuring of FTX. He has access to all of this data. He's sifting through these records, though he's told us that they're not very good. So, I'm hoping that maybe we get some extra details from what we've seen in the bankruptcy filing so far.
Actually, Shonali, new headlines actually continue to come through about this story. I saw a tweet or a thread of tweets from the editor-at-large of The Block. Could you tell us what the story is there, please?
Yeah, you are referring to the tweet thread by Frank Chaparro, otherwise known as FinTech Frank, who 4 days ago released an almost 2-hour podcast speaking with SBF about what had happened here. But really what had happened is he said he did not know, and many employees at the Block did not know, and felt really put in the dark here, because what happened was an executive, the CEO of the Block, which is supposed to be an independent news site related to crypto that was bought out by management about a year or so ago. Yeah, absolutely got it. Look at that tweet right there. So what they are finding out now is that CEO had taken personal loans through a entity here that did not disclose that SBF had given loans to the CEO that ended up being part of what helped that executive lead to the buyout. So listen, the CEO has stepped down. You are seeing the employees reeling from this. They are saying they did not know at all. This was really found out within the past couple of days. And as I was saying, just 2 days ago, they had interviewed SBF himself.
I know it can seem like inside baseball when journalists are talking about other journalists, but your heart does have to go out to people who feel completely undone, not only by their sector collapsing, the industry that they've grown to love collapsing, but then their own CEO seemingly catching them completely off guard and blindsiding them. I'm sure there's more to come from that. But overall, Alison, the transparency we're going to get from a regulatory perspective, from a lawmaker's perspective, and I asked it to Shonali earlier, I ask it to you now, the people that they're going to have in front of them giving evidence, I've seen some talk on Twitter again that people who feel very legitimate in the space haven't been asked, and some people who have been asked to speak perhaps aren't deemed so legitimate. Just talk to us about who we expect to hear from.
So on the House side, the only person that's actually listed as a witness so far is John J. Ray, so the current CEO of FTX. On the Senate side, we have a pretty small list as well. One of them is a law professor who specializes in sort of financial regulation and new technologies. And then the other one is Ben McKenzie. So if you watched the OC, then you would recognize that name. He was Ryan on the OC. He's more recently come out as a very anti-crypto skeptic and sort of crypto commentator. But a lot of people were a little surprised to see that name on the list.
Team OC. I think we all better get some rest this weekend. Next week,
But crypto
a big
never
week.
sleeps, Ed. Crypto never sleeps.
Well, thank goodness that I do sleep Friday night through Sunday night. All right, Bloomberg's Alison Verspro and Sonali Basak, thank you both. Coming up, Huawei expands on the patent monetizing game. We'll discuss that and much more with top executives from the company next. This is Bloomberg.
We want to talk about another key story, particularly from a geopolitical perspective. Huawei Technologies has agreed to license some of its smartphone technologies, well, to an old rival called Oppo, one of China's top smartphone brands. Now, Huawei is one of the biggest holders of 5G patents, and many patents, in fact, and it's historically not been that aggressive in monetizing those patents. But the telecom giant now seeing itself perhaps in a need to look in revenues in other areas after its lucrative handset business was hit pretty hard by US trade sanctions that cut it off in terms of access to advanced chips. I'm very pleased to welcome, therefore, to the show, Huawei Chief Security Officer Andy Purdy, alongside Huawei's Chief Intellectual Property Counsel for the United States, Stephen Geisler. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for both being here. And let's start first and foremost where we're thinking about the new areas of revenue. And Stephen, I address this question to you, because how important now is the monetization of patents? How are you seeing this driving in terms of percentage-wise of revenue going forward?
So the revenue we will realize through patent licensing is not going to make up for or be in lieu of product sales. In any given year, we're talking about numbers that are in the hundreds of millions versus product sales, products and services combined being in tens of billions of US dollars. So certainly one is not going to be a replacement for the other. We are simply trying to make sure that based upon the money we've spent through the years on R&D and then patenting, that we're getting a fair return on our patent expenditures for patenting our technologies, and also using the patents to reach agreements with our competitors and peers to make sure that the innovation that goes into global standards such as 4G and 5G telephony, for Wi-Fi, for the audio-video codecs that allow for streaming for your viewers to watch even today's show, that is recuperated by not only Huawei, but other large members of the ICT industry for what we spend on R&D.
I want to bring Andy Purdy, Huawei's Chief Security Officer, into the conversation. Andy, how much of a bitter pill to swallow is this Huawei? You know, you once had a significant handset business that was a driver of revenue growth, but also just accounted for a big chunk of revenue. Now you are pivoting, essentially. Again, is it a bitter pill to swallow?
Well, we deal with reality, and the reality is that we have certain challenges. Our survival is first and foremost. Our ability to work with partners and customers to innovate and bring 5G-enabled technologies to the world is what we're about, to help bring connectivity to the world. And so that's the way we look at it. We've got tremendous opportunities out there, the international regime that Steve was just talking about, the idea that there are certain standards and certain companies may own patents relative to that standards, this international system of making sure there's fairness, that competitors can buy licenses from other competitors, is a huge thing on the international stage to help increase innovation and increase competition around the world. It's a great tribute to how well a global system works in the IP area.
Andy, though, those words, it's about survival. Just how threatened has your business model become through US-China tensions, and how non-ending do you think that this shutdown will be, this access to the United States, this ability to sell into it?
Well, when you look at our revenues from 2020 to 2021, our revenues dropped about $30 billion, mostly because of our inability to buy chips for our 5G phones. And so we are emphasizing tremendous investment this past year in R&D, over $20 billion in R&D, and thousands of partnerships to help bring 5G digital transformation to different industries, such as smart mining and smart ports, and the ability to create safer environments and reduce energy consumption. And basically, we are finding our way in the world. And we're even doing hardcore scientific research on things like Moore's Law and Shannon's limit, so that the scientific challenges of 5G, 5.5G, and 6G can be overcome for the benefit of the world. So we take the world as we see it, and we're working hard and innovating. I think we at Huawei are really proud of how we're moving forward with partners around the world.
Stephen, you're the US Chief Intellectual Property Counsel. Oppo is still a Chinese maker of handsets. Could you talk us through how the deal came about and how difficult the deal was to get done?
Certainly. The deal was done through bilateral negotiations without the need for litigation. That's important because many times these deals are only brought about through litigation because we need the intervention of courts to help decide things such as what is the proper rate and what products should be subject to a license agreement. Here, that was not necessary. We also view that this is a key step forward. It's not our first Chinese cross-license by any means, nor is it Oppo's, but it is a major sign that the Chinese regime for patent protection continues to mature. These are two large competitors, bringing about a very important agreement between the two of us.
Andy, I asked you earlier if having to license your tech rather than selling handsets is a bitter pill to swallow, and you said it's the reality. Where we are now, what is the reality of Huawei being able to sell not just handsets in terms of smartphones, but other hardware into the United States directly? How does that come about?
Our emphasis for the foreseeable future is in those parts of the world, and there are many, that are open to working with us, open to partnering from us. And so there are tremendous opportunities around the world. And so that's what we're focusing on right now. And frankly, as those of us in the United States, we look at some of the things we're doing around the world to help bring connectivity to the underconnected. We hope that in the United States, there can be a little more action and a little less talk about connecting the rural America in a resilient way, and frankly, helping to connect and have appropriate devices for distressed communities, poor communities in urban areas of the country. Americans really need to get the benefit of connectivity.
Overall, is that argument landing? Andy, who are you speaking to here in the United States? Do they still want in any way to grant access directly or indirectly for your technology? They feel the need for it? Because I was amazed to see just how many patents you put into the United States, for example, per year, like you're #1.
Well, as I said, our focus is not to do business in the United States. And as we talk about the lessons we are learning and 5G transformation around the world, it is not to enable us to do business. We think there are lessons that we're learning. We think there are lessons that the United States can learn from success stories in other parts of the world. I mentioned the smart mining and smart ports, but healthcare, manufacturing consistency, reducing energy consumption in telecommunications. The United States needs to step up and be much more active in these things to help the competitiveness of the United States and help the American people.
I'm interested, Stephen, and I'm wondering if you can take us in the money direction in your focus as Chief Intellectual Property Counsel. You are not only just announcing, of course, the deal with Oppo, but you made public for the first time that you're also doing licensing 5G to Samsung. How much, with some of these partners, particularly when it comes to Samsung, to Apple, to the huge players in this space, how much are you charging them in terms of patent use? And are you thinking about royalties in a different way? You're going to have to change the maths and be more aggressive.
Well, so first, we don't view ourselves as aggressive. We are certainly active in the licensing space, where third parties have done independent studies of our licensing, our rates for our patents versus many of our competitors. We actually are much more in the middle of the pack. So we are not looking to set the highest rates in any industry or technology. The importance of U.S. patents, for instance, which you've mentioned previously, is still important, regardless of whether we ever sell a product again in the United States. Our patents, our technologies are being used by U.S. companies. Many of those companies have freely, without litigation, have joined into license agreements with Huawei to pay for the rights to use our patented technology in the United States. No one in the United States can use Wi-Fi, particularly the new Wi-Fi 6, which is the AX version, without using Huawei's technology. Same thing with 4G, 5G. We are licensing car manufacturers and their suppliers all around the world, from Japan to China to the UK to Germany to the United States, on their use of our 4G technology in connected cars. And so that is the important thing, is making sure people understand the difference between global use of standardized technology, which Huawei is a leader in providing that technology, versus product sales.
Okay, Huawei Chief Security Officer Andy Purdy and Chief Intellectual Property Counsel for the US, Stephen Geisler, thank you both. And concerns linger that some of the biggest Chinese tech firms will be delisted in the US. As of Wednesday, about 81% of JD.com shares were circulating in Hong Kong's settlement system. This as investors move to convert them from US exchanges. That's a near doubling from the end of 2021, according to Bloomberg calculations. Similarly, Alibaba's Hong Kong-listed share portion rose 11 percentage points during the same period, a steady shift into Asia, which shows traders are continuing to hedge risks associated with the US-China spat. Now, coming up, everyone's doing it. Are you? Lensa AI. It's the latest AI application, you've got to take my word for it, that makes your selfies look even better. Caroline and I, well, I don't want to give it too much away. Just wait and see. All that next. This is Bloomberg. So that's us, that's Caroline right there. That's supposedly me using the Lensa AI app, an all-in-one image editing app for your selfies.
Yours are really good, Ed. Yours are really good. You look really hot. You look really smart. I don't even... Does this remotely look like me? Not in the slightest. I'm kind of a bit depressed that...
I mean, I've just morphed into sort of an artistic Italian gentleman.
I've morphed into someone I really don't recognise, but they're kind of hot.
It was an interesting experience. Like, a lot of my photos were rejected, but we're back, the real you and I. Hello.
Can we just... There's one photo where I look so unwell and miserable and completely unlike myself that I was kind of a bit depressed by it, but probably, as I kept saying, it sort of felt like my insides after all the holiday parties. But I am interested, Ed, that some people out there, right, one particular noted economist, thinks this sort of AI, particularly the chat GPT, for example, is great strides in technology, right?
I mean, is this the best thing since sliced bread? Is this a game changer, revolutionary? As far as I can tell, it's just strange pictures of you and I. But
you've got to see our Twitter
enjoyed
poll
the
on
experience.
it. Yeah, they've got to see our Twitter poll on it. Larry Summers says this will change us in terms of it's going to be as important as the wheel and fire. Seemingly, actually, most think it is revolutionary. This is Bloomberg.
It's not like there's an incredible amount of money that's ready to be deployed. I think the pace of investments in the venture ecosystem was masked a bit by capital that was coming from non-traditional ventures and corporate balance sheets. And so I think today what you're going to see is a shift, probably not in terms of opportunity sets, in terms of how fast money gets deployed to the ecosystem, but I think you're going to see people look for complete different dynamics within the balance sheets and the capital structures and the management teams that they're investing in.
That was PitchBook's Director of Research, Nizar Tahouni, giving his take on the current dynamics at play in the world of VC. Let's get someone else's take. Dina Shakir is with us now, General Partner at Lux Capital, a firm focusing on investments in emerging technologies, $4 billion in assets under management. It's been a week. It's been a big week for markets, for the world, economics. Kara and I have been talking a lot about data. You know, there was various data sets, but the big takeaway is that whether you do it on a volume basis, deal count basis, dollar value basis, 2022 is nothing compared to 2021 in your world. Why?
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I was expecting my Lenza avatar to show up instead of myself, but delighted to be here. So no denying 2022 was a roller coaster, and I think we're still in for a long ride with 2023 ahead of us. Many would say the exuberance of 2021 needed a correction, and that came with a bit of a jarring surprise to some, but also met the expectations of others. It was, in many ways, a long time coming. But I still think we're just at the precipice of understanding what the impact will be on valuations across stages. And certainly for us, it's an area where we think there's a real exciting opportunity to continue being bullish on long-term opportunities.
I am going to let Caroline have all the fun, and I'm going to ask you a slightly dull question about economics, if you'd allow me to.
Sure.
It's never dull, Ed.
Well, I know it's important. The funny thing is that if you're I'm assuming if you're a venture capitalist, you assess a broad range of data just as a public market analyst would or investor. Inflation and the Fed, you know, every day for us, inflation and the Fed.
Yep.
What does it mean to you at this stage in the cycle?
Well, you know, we're VCs, so we're long-term investors. We're not day traders. Obviously, there's no denying the impact of the macro on the micro, and we've seen that very clearly in terms of the opportunities for exits for venture-backed companies. But when we're investing in deep technologies, companies that we believe are market makers, we have to look with a longer perspective. And so, you know, 2023 does not look particularly promising, although none of us are Nostradamus, but we're looking ahead 5 to 10 years from now, and those opportunities are very exciting to be investing in the early days.
Dina, you've just made general partner. Congratulations. And you focus a lot in the health space in particular, very much focused on female-focused businesses too. What is that more recession-proof than other areas? Healthcare, many have turned to in the public market, saying, look, this is one to be investing into at the moment with higher interest rates and with a slower growth prospect. What do you see in terms of the smaller, now growing industries?
Absolutely. I mean, I've often said that health and digital health is recession-proof. Now, that's not to say that it's immune to the macro conditions. That's definitely not the case in any look at the public markets, no matter how well they're faring, you know, respectively. It's very clear that they're not. That being said, people will continue to get sick. They will continue to have babies. We will continue to have needs for therapeutics and for intervention and care, perhaps more so in the future even than we do today. And I think as a result, what we're seeing is really expanded interest and also a bit of a slightly better opportunity than you're seeing, certainly not just on the public side. You know, PitchBook, I think just yesterday published a report showing that the median deal valuations for venture-backed healthcare companies is actually up 33% year over year, which is a really interesting take vis-a-vis where the rest of the market seemed to be sitting. You know, one of our companies was on your show just a few weeks ago for their Series E, and that was a really exciting one in women's health where there's a lot of continued interest.
Yeah, shout out to Maven Clinic, and we were so pleased to be able to start the new show with Ed and I, with Kate joining the show in that respect to bring us that Series E. But I'm going to ask a sensitive question now, Dina, and I know because you don't want to shy away from these sorts of things. Lux Capital, of course, has been embroiled in the FTX situation. You wrote checks, not you personally, of course, and you're not, therefore I'm not going to ask you about your own due diligence in the space, but what do you think internally the lessons you've learned are when you're looking at writing checks in a more difficult environment that we currently are? How are you looking for companies to be building their corporate governance, to be ensuring that they're giving you all the accounts that you need and the growth story is really there?
You know, I think this is something that's not necessarily just unique to that situation. There are other cases across healthcare in the recent months and years that have also really put a lens on the importance of due diligence. And so there's no doubt that that continues to be very important across the board. And I think perhaps some of the slowdown that we're anticipating in terms of the exuberance of 2021 vis-a-vis what we're expecting in 2023 will give all investors more time and more space to be able to do that, which, you know, is certainly a positive thing.
Just going to bring up a chart, which was the data I was talking about earlier, 2021 versus 2022, and we'll see a big drop. We're coming from a high bar of 2021, right, where factors were completely different. You can see the chart there on your screen. Give us the Lux Capital 2023 outlook, the big picture, you know, granularity about how you see the world over the next 12 months and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think regardless of one individual news situation or market dynamic, it's pretty clear that 2023 is not going to be as bright as 2021 was from a public market perspective. I think many of the companies that we've seen and that we've been speaking to have, you know, extended their runway. We certainly have been telling many of our companies for quite some time now to do so, and they're in a position where they are able to weather the storm. In an ideal situation, they are, you know, not necessarily needing to raise next year and can, you know, wait it out till 2024. But I do think there are many companies that will be in for, you know, for an unfortunate surprise in 2023 if the markets are heading where we think they're heading.
You mentioned it at the beginning of the conversation, and Caroline and I are quite focused on this at the moment, exits.
Yes.
You know, you look at the NASDAQ 100 and where we're down 30% year to date, the options on the table, surprising some deals jumping out every now and again, big deals in terms of acquisitions. But where do you see, you know, IPO market and other exit mechanisms in the same time frame, 2023?
Yeah, there's been a lot of activity on the M&A side in healthcare in particular, with some really, really big deals, even in the midst of the economic situation that we're in. And we know in healthcare in particular, when these deals happen, there tend to be more of them with, you know, with similar payers and players. So whether it's CVS or Amazon, non-traditional players that are trying to get into healthcare through M&A, I think in particular there's been a focus on value-based care, which is a patient set which is really difficult to acquire. So for companies, venture-backed or otherwise, that can do that well, I think there'll be continued appetite there across the board.
Dina, come back in the new year. Tell us how that 2023 is starting to unfold for you. Dina Shoka, we love having her on. Thank you, General Partner over at Lux Capital. Wishing you happy holidays. We don't get to chat before. Meanwhile, let's talk exits now, because we were just going there with Ed, and as some are still happening in the global startup space. In fact, let's go global, because Istanbul-based quick commerce platform, that's Getir, just bought its rival, Gorillas Technologies, in a deal that was valued at $1.2 billion, according to sources. Now, it marks the increasing consolidation in what we all thought at one point was an absolutely booming industry. You couldn't move for quick deliveries, but Gorillas raised funds valuing the company at about $3 billion before, and had been exploring its options after investors just became so much more cautious over the industry's path to profitability. I mean, Ed, we were all talking about how quickly one could order their various groceries and they'd be coming within 20 minutes or so, but it just became ever more evident that these companies were not going to be able to head to profitability with this many players in the space.
So there's a fantastic quote in the story from the founder of the company saying, markets go up and go down, but consumers love our service. Convenience is here to stay. You know, whether that's true or not, we don't yet know. You know, the proof's in the pudding. But, you know, it's holiday season. I go to a lot of drinks with VCs and, you know, they do say it's a case-by-case basis. There are some fantastic startups that are born out of recession, that grow out of recession, and there's opportunity right now if you can pick them out.
Yeah, and I think that this is what's going to be interesting. Where are the exits being made? Are you doing exits from acquisition, one private company to a private company? Or, Ed, are you still managing to get to the public market?
If that dreaded word, well, dreaded's not fair, but SPAC. Interesting. So let's get more from another guest, Sam Zaid, CEO of GetAround, which just went public on the New York Stock Exchange, or listed its shares. GetAround is a company I know. You know, I've written about GetAround. We've reported about broadly this platform in which owners of vehicles can list their cars to be rented out. It's like Airbnb for cars, Sam. Why list via this mechanism?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I said, why list? Why go public?
Oh, you know, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, for us, you know, we went public because, you know, we had great partners. We found committed capital that really allows us to execute on our business plan, and it was really about just continuing to create long-term value and to get out into the public markets and be able to have access to that, you know, the public markets directly. We felt was the right thing for us in this particular circumstance, in this particular category.
What sort of, with the money coming in, what does that now create you in terms of space to build? Where are you able to now drive forward, GetAround, particularly at a time where more people might be incentivized to share their car, to get money in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it is that type of time. I mean, I think a lot of consumers are looking for options to make extra money, potentially, you know, drive extra income or offset costs. And we just felt that, you know, the opportunity was right given what we see in the category and in the market and some of the trends with, you know, our partners and even more generally with the shift to more consumers, you know, moving towards mobility and continuing to shift those patterns of mobility. You know, we felt the time was right.
Hey, Sam, really quick, you're pipping your great rival Turo to the public markets. The reception, interesting. What do you make of that?
Yeah, look, I think there's no denying the macro it's just a challenging market environment, but we weren't really optimizing for that as much as optimizing for, you know, really giving fuel to the business in order to really execute on our plans. And so, you know, the way we think about that is really we want to continue to execute, create long-term value, and over time we think that, you know, the market will respond and start to, you know, value companies properly on fundamentals.
Sam, thanks for spending some time with us from the floor of the NYSE. Sam Zaid, CEO at GetAround. Meanwhile, coming up, we're going to talk much more about all the ongoing fallout from the collapse of FTX. Lawmakers questioning officials over at Silvergate Capital. It's a small bank that's facing some big pain after its decision to really take on crypto clients. This is Bloomberg. once, well, a pretty obscure smaller bank, and then it got into crypto. Silvergate Capital is the one I'm talking about. It found its niche when it started providing banking services to some pretty major crypto clients, including, well, Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX and Alameda Research. Now it's, of course, facing scrutiny from regulators and lawmakers on the back of that decision. Joining us now on a great set of reporting, Bloomberg's banking reporter, Max Reyes. And Max, just talk to us about how Silvergate first of all got into servicing these sorts of clients.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. And I think it might be helpful to back up for a second, sort of explain sort of the value proposition here for a bank. For banks that aren't dealing with crypto, they're not helping to exchange tokens or anything like that. They're literally just holding deposits for crypto customers and helping them to send them back and forth, right, between themselves. The value there is that you can bring these deposits onto your balance sheet and you do not have to pay out interest, right? So you essentially have a very affordable way to fund yourself. And that's sort of what drew a company like Silvergate into this. And other banks have done it as well. Customers Bank or Signature Bank. But obviously, a few of them have had banking relationships with FTX and Alameda that has folks raising concerns. Short sellers are kind of dogpiling the stock. Yeah. And you have lawmakers who are asking questions. And it's a result of these relationships.
From your early reporting and digging around, just how exposed has Silvergate become? What sort of areas within the financial services they offered made it more difficult to extricate themselves now?
Yeah, I think the biggest level of exposure is just the deposits they held on their balance sheet. Silvergate has said that they did not lend to FTX. They made it very clear that their only relationship with FTX and related entities, including Alameda Research, the hedge fund, was a deposit relationship. And so if you have a deposit with Silvergate, you can send money to other clients who also have those deposits on a platform they call the SEN, the Silvergate Exchange Network. And what our reporting indicated was that customers had been directed to buy FTX to send money to Alameda Research. And that was to, in at least one case, a Silvergate bank account. And that has raised concerns and questions from lawmakers. Our reporting doesn't go any further in saying sort of how that tied into the kind of commingling of funds and so on that have been alleged when it comes to FTX and Alameda. But it does mean that Silvergate is part of these really difficult questions being raised by lawmakers, yes, by regulators, by investors. How did no one spot this, right?
You raised a good point, Max, about the short interest on the stock in that it's publicly traded, right? It almost has its own rise and fall story. I was looking at my Bloomberg to the end of 2021 when the stock was above $200 a share. Now we're down at $21 a share. I mean, what was the investor anxiety here for Silvergate? It was just their exposure to the contagion.
So what would be helpful to do is to zoom out, right? Because around this time last year, we were talking about digital assets being at all-time highs. And that's when the stock hit $222, just about that period. But over the last year, we've had more events than just FTX. We've had the blow up of the Terra Luna ecosystem, which in turn led to the collapse of Three Arrows Capital, the collapse of Celsius. So publicly traded stocks with exposure to crypto, that's Silvergate, that's other companies, that's, names like MicroStrategy, which literally just hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet. All of those companies have taken a beating in the last year because of this anxiety, and just the blow up of FTX sort of accelerated and worsened that impact, I would say.
Max, what have Silvergate said about all of this, very quickly?
Certainly. Silvergate's been pretty clear in saying that the controls that they had in place were sufficient, that they, again, had no sort of lending or any other kind of relationship, and that they were in one statement to NBC, they described themselves as victims of SBF and his misleading practices the same way everyone else is. So the company has been pretty frank in denying any claims of wrongdoing, and it should be made clear that authorities have not alleged any wrongdoing. They haven't been accused of wrongdoing by authorities. It's just there are questions circling.
Yeah, thank you for your reporting. Bloomberg's Max Reyes there. Coming up, the world's most populous nation rapidly pulling back on its COVID-0 policies. We'll tell you what this means for the health of people in China, but also, of course, the tech companies doing business there next. This is Bloomberg.
While Hong Kong has served as a blueprint for China's opening up from COVID, it's also a huge, huge cautionary tale. Now, when the Omicron variant swept through this modern city of 7.5 million earlier part of this year, the city's sophisticated healthcare system was simply overwhelmed. At one point, Hong Kong had the world's highest death rate due to COVID. There simply wasn't enough space to put all the patients or bodies. Some of the sick were put outside on gurneys as body bags with the deceased stacked up in some wards next to the infected living. Morgues, too, were inundated. Most of Hong Kong's nearly 11,000 total COVID deaths happened between February and April of this year. Like Hong Kong, China has a largely under-vaccinated elderly population, but on a much, much larger scale. And China, too, doesn't have the more sophisticated mRNA vaccinations available.
We have to remember that China has been protected the public for so long. There has been no herd immunity in China. So this is going to start. And this process is not going to be smooth. It will be quite difficult.
With the sudden dismantling of COVID restrictions, including mandatory PCR testing to enter public spaces, China is bracing for a surge in infections and deaths. More than 2 million fatalities by one estimate. Criticism of COVID-0 is rapidly being replaced by concern that the rapid policy shift away from the all-out eradication of the virus is happening too fast, and that China is ill-prepared, like Hong Kong was back in March, for a health crisis of unseen proportions. Stephen Engel, Bloomberg News, Hong Kong.
I mean, clearly a very tough story to continue to have to talk about. We forget the health impacts, of course, the death impacts. But also we have to talk, as we do at Bloomberg time and time again, the economic impacts of all of this. And we want to thank our Asia chief correspondent, Stephen Engel, for that piece, because you've been doing some really thoughtful leadership in terms of what's happening for companies such as Tesla, companies that are desperate to get into China and then find, well, the demand is being eroded, but in some ways the supply too.
You know, we may have stopped tracking the virus in Europe and in North America day to day, but in China, you know, look how quickly have we gone from COVID impacting production or impacting the ability of tech companies like Tesla to carry out their business to now the impact on demand, right? And even though there's this reopening and easing of restrictions, there are lots of questions about that. The most recent report from Bloomberg, according to sources, they're actually going to shut down the assembly lines imminently in Shanghai, and then later in the Chinese New Year in January do the same. Some of that, according to sources, is for maintenance, upgrades, but there's still this question about demand. It's a really difficult situation, I suppose, to understand.
And how hard is that going to be to peel apart what is just the usual way of things during the beginning of January for China and what actually is the COVID impact here?
Well, usual things for the beginning part of January when you have the Chinese New Year and normal for Tesla to do maintenance. It's just that Tesla doesn't communicate and say, here's our plan. And so investors, if you look at the share price this week, have got a little nervous despite a positive end for the stock on Friday.
I have a feeling we'll be talking about both China, both Tesla, plenty more next week. But for today, Ed, that's it for this edition of Bloomberg Technology, hey?
Yeah, that does it. Don't forget to check out our podcast. You can find it on the Bloomberg terminal, of course, on Apple, Spotify, and always on iHeartRadio. Big week, Caro, but that's it for us. This is Bloomberg.
Audio Jungle. When it's time for an adventure on the open highway, one quick call to American Family Insurance gets you headed in the right direction. Our travel peace of mind package is there if you encounter a bump in the road. From roadside assistance to rental car coverage, we have you covered. Find a local agent or get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Smoothie King does coffee better than the rest. Delicious coffee smoothies with new espresso or cold brew plus real nutrition. Enjoy any 20-ounce coffee smoothie for just $5 all day when you scan with the app. Valid at participating locations. See website for terms. Make Smoothie King your king of coffee.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Realist and the Visionary podcast. Our podcast can be listened on all major streaming apps. Join us on our website at www.therealistthevisionary.com. Click that first tab and hop in our community chat.
Facts. Share some feedback and show us some love. Talk to us about anything. Also head over to The Righteous Speaks to be featured on our show. So go ahead, check out the website at www.therealistthevisionary.com. Cheers. The Realist.
The Visionary.
The Realist.
The Visionary.
The Realist.
The Visionary.
The realist.
And the Visionary.
And the Visionary. And this show is brought to you by
StruggleLife.net. Go get your own struggle caps on StruggleLife.net before the year is out.
Word. My name is Tina and I'm the Realist.
And it's your boy Dutch the Visionary.
Yes, thank you for tuning in to another episode. We appreciate the love and the support. Please do us a favor. Follow us on TikTok and IG at The Realist the Visionary. And head over to the website at www.therealistthevisionary.com. Check out all the cool features and participate in The Righteous Speaks, which is a segment where we allow you, the listener, to voice your opinions to be heard and featured on this show. We want you guys to participate. We love to hear you guys' opinions about certain topics. Last week we asked you guys, are you understanding of one's spiritual journey? So we're going to keep that one going. Give it another week. See who participates. Okay. So please, participate. That's all I got to say about that. And if you're new here, disclaimer, we talk that talk. We talk that shit.
We don't talk nothing.
And if you don't like it, then don't listen to us. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. But anywho, what up with you?
Nothing.
What up, good people? So, a lot's been going on in this matrix. This matrix is glitching every day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. We are in the truth era. All right, the truth era. This is the time of truth. Everything's been unveiled. I know I've been saying it for the last couple of shows, and I'm going to keep on saying it because no one's giving me an answer. Now that we have the truth slowly being unveiled by the quote-unquote elites, that influences society. What are we doing? What are we going to do? I know a lot of us is going always keeping in mind to continue to stack up for the end times. Get your survival foods, have certain things in place. You know what I mean? Just in case. Always got to think about the just in case. Don't forget about that. And I'm still the type of still live. Still live life. Because life is a beautiful experience when you truly appreciate what we are and what it is and your purpose here.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, like I said, this nature's been breaking, man. Another I was watching some funny shit, and this dude, right? They still going back and forth with Ye and shit, right? But we ain't gonna talk about Ye too much. But I find it funny that the ADL, and for those who don't know who the ADL is the Anti-Defamation League, and they started in like the early 1912s, like early 1900s. It's pretty much to stop the defamation of Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all, right? That was their mission statement. And the whole company pretty much started off because a Jewish guy who was in jail was wrongly accused of something, and he was hung from a tree. And I guess after they hung him from the tree, the people who hung him celebrated. They had like barbecues around the body and took pictures and things of that nature. And ever since then, because this Jewish guy was wrongly accused of a crime he didn't commit, this is when the ADL started. I just find it funny because the ADL decides to get on the Breakfast Club, and for people who's in a 4D and 5D minds, I keep telling people, like, peep this. Breakfast Club is 105.1 is definitely owned by Jewish media. All right. iHeartRadio, all that shit's all owned by Jewish media. So why wouldn't they have the anti-defamation Jewish Power Rangers come try to put a blanket over the flame that Mr. Ye has, sparked up to society? We're here to help all people. It's not about Kanye. It's just about people just saying things. And it was pathetic listening to the two radio hosts sit there and go back and forth with this dude and damn near kind of ask for permission or what's the right things to say without offending people and things of that nature. Like, you're asking them for the proper words to say. And I think it's really pathetic, again, like outside of that surface level of shit, just pathetic of people to keep them feeling so pussy and soft about having an opinion. We are in like the most censored era ever, and I feel like most of this uncensored mentality that most of us kind of built, not us, but people, I would say came from 2016 when Trump came into office. People were seeing a lot of the quote unquote white supremacists and racists come out the woodworks, and people, but it wasn't about even being a quote unquote white supremacist or a racist. It was really about people just speaking their minds, feeling proud about speaking their minds, and not feeling pussy about saying anything. And then whatever consequence came after you spoke, it was the consequence. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was it. But now it's like, oh, you can't say X, Y, and Z because you're going to lose everything. It's deeper than somebody. It's deeper than somebody on the internet being mad at you. You're going to have your family be mad at you. You might lose your job. You might lose your wife. You might lose your whole bank account. You might lose your college degree. You might lose your awards. You might lose so much shit for having an opinion. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And no one's questioning the control aspect of this. Like, and the thing is really sickening that no one's questioning it. Like, nobody's really trying to speak up for it. Everyone, like, some people really want to go with the okie doke and don't say this, or don't use your platform to say that because that's not your lane. And then other people just want to stay silent, not say nothing because they don't want bad, things to happen to them. It's just so cringe right now, the way the world is at. I'm just frustrated. I hope you guys can hear my frustrations.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on everything being so censored?
I don't really have any feelings because we already know that they control everything. So what is there to do? Y'all's gonna have his truth come out regardless, we've seen that. But we could just keep doing what we're gonna do, and it is what it is. There will be a point where all this shuts down anyway, where we ain't gonna be able to get on that net or talk on the mic or go on Instagram. None of that's gonna be relevant. So, we just have to keep pushing forward. And it's going to reveal everything before it all crashes and burns. That's why the whole world is being awakened to who the true Hebrews are, whether they want to believe it or not. So, it's just a timeline of things, It's
crazy. A lot of, I've seen a lot of other influencers, especially the Hebrew ones, was digging into the Bibles that the Zionist Jews practice, the teachings. Mm-hmm. And they was reading some of the things in there, and it's it's right here in their teachings. You could get these books out of their stores and shit like that. And the things that they believe spiritually is really fucked up. It's not even spiritual. It's more of a code. You know what I mean? People not we thinking this shit is all religious based. Nah, this is all coded. They're if somebody doesn't look like you, you have the right to make money off of them for whatever reason. They're your slave if they're not like you. You know what I mean? They have things in their book that says the Messiah, Jesus, to them at least, he there's rituals in there where he boils semen in urine. You know what I mean? It's in the Zionist books. This guy that I was watching, to be honest, it was Rizza Islam. I was looking on YouTube, and he was breaking down, reading it word for word, right out of their book. This is the shit that's in their book. You guys can read this, and this is why we have to stop allowing these people.
What book is that?
I forgot which one. He says these two other books that they practice within their Jewish community, Zionist Jews, not just any Jew, the Zionist ones. Sorry about that, but yeah, it got real nasty in there. He was like, this is what's in their shits. You know what I'm saying? He was, so just looking into it, I want to look into it a little more. I think it's really sick at where we're at right now. It's just sick that people even let it get this far. Can't have an opinion. You could watch TV. Somebody on TV could say the word dyke. You say dyke on the internet, you might get blocked. You go on TV, History Channel talk about Mr. Hitler. You go on the internet, say anything about Hitler, you will get blocked. You know what I mean? You can't even say that shit in public. You lose your job for saying something about the LGBT.
Yeah.
How many white people do you know that actually lost their jobs and money and everything for being racist? Probably little to none. Probably a handful of them, I'm pretty sure, over the years.
You kill a black man, and all they're going to do is give you a vacation. So
you go get paid off.
But we already know. I want to move forward from this. We have talked about censorship before.
Yeah.
And that's really nothing that we can control. In other news, Brittany Griner... Child.
Gas prices go down today. Went down today.
So we're just gonna bypass what I was trying to talk about.
Oh no, they'll go hand in hand. People were saying how Brittany Griner gets out of jail and gas prices go down. Interesting. I don't know how it goes hand in hand, but people made that what's the word? The observation.
I don't get it. But Russia, they freed the he/she. And
they traded. When have you ever heard of niggas trading a prisoner, guys?
I don't know. I'm sure it happens, but I've never really
like traded one prisoner from a level 1 facility to a level 5 facility. I've heard of, but I've never heard of two countries swapping high profile prisoners a day in my life. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. A lot of people sent that to us, so we just gonna mention it because a lot of y'all sent this. The most cringy thing to me is the fact that they've tried to pass this off as a woman. Like that it's almost like disrespectful. Like it's really disrespectful. Like that y'all try to really put this man in our face and say that this is a woman and have this man in the WNBA. Like, and a lot of them are men in there. I ain't gonna lie. Some of them women up in there, it's not really women.
Yeah. Some people find it hard to believe.
He is definitely a man. I don't care what nobody tell me. There's pictures of this man on the internet, like a man chest. Like nothing on, no bra, no t-shirt, nothing. Man chest. The entire build is a man. The entire voice is a man.
Yeah,
the entire height is a man. That nigga's foot size is a man. That nigga's forehead with the protruding eyebrows is a man.
But y'all keep saying that's
is a man.
That's that hormone pills.
That's a man. It ain't no freaking what's it called? The juice. What they call it? The shots that the bodybuilders and them use. What's it called?
Steroids.
It ain't no steroids. That's a man. Okay, so it's insulting. Like you trying to insult us. Like that's clearly a man. That's my rant when it comes to this Brittany Griner. Like. Ever since I found about this thing like years ago, I was like, are they really trying to pass this off as a woman? Like they're really trying to tell us to our faces that's a natural born woman. And there are women who have hormonal issues. They might have a little bit more testosterone. You know what I'm saying? There are women who have like polycystic ovary diseases where it causes them to have a bunch of facial hair. But y'all gonna tell me every bitch
every chick in the WNBA is just wild masculine though. Like
it's not all of them. It's not all of them.
It's like 90% of the WNBA is wild masculine. I only bring it up because when I was in college, I remember watching the girls play ball when I was in school. And me and the dude used to sit there and be like, yo, a lot of these girls are so, there's some tough flamboyant females and they're so pretty shooting that ball. But you look at the WNBAs, all these giant dyke joints. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen New York.
Smoothie King does coffee better than the rest. Delicious coffee smoothies with new espresso or cold brew plus real nutrition. Enjoy any 20-ounce coffee smoothie for just $5 all day when you scan with the app. Valid at participating locations. See website for terms. Make Smoothie King your king of coffee.
Liberty games. They took. My parents took us to New York Liberty games as me and my sister to see the WNBA play. And yeah, a lot of them are very masculine.
They're just dudes.
I'm not gonna lie, I hate to say this, but some of the I'm not even gonna say what I'm about to say because I'm about to sound mad ignorant. But yeah, a lot of them are definitely masculine. Like even Joanna Man. And you remember in Joanna Man, and see, Joanna Man's telling you something. You think it's a comedy, but see, look at that.
I was going to bring that up. Now, again, I'm glad you bring up Joanna Man. When we go back into these movies, all right, they always told the story. They always told us. In the Satanic Bible, they want the truth has to be told type shit. So they can't say they never told you. It's like something that they follow. So just bringing up Joanna Man. When they put the symbolism, they always got to take the black man, to feminize him, whatever, right? Feminize him, I mean. All right? He played on a WNBA team, right?
Well, in the movie, he was an NBA player. Something happened where they suspended him, and then he decided to dress as a woman to be in the WNBA.
I want y'all to just what makes, like, just put it, why in the world that we live in right now, where you got dudes who want to be girls, girls who want to be dudes, and it's like so common, and they're pushing for that narrative. What would make you think, let's say there's a dude, junior high school, let's say he moved to a new town, he feeling kind of flamboyant, he feeling real zesty, he moved, his parents want to support his basketball dream because he's still nice at ball, he's just feeling wild zesty, and then they start putting his hormone pills jacked up in the motherfucker, and he starts playing for the girls team, and no one ever really questioned it, that he gets drafted to the WNBA and gets a check. Why is that like too far-fetched of a thing for some people to believe? Because I would believe that there would be a couple of hoop stories just like that. The truth was out there.
Brittany Griner.
But like I said, I said the story of it, like, oh no, this is like they was jacking up this dude since he was 12 with hormone pills. By the time he was 18, no one really knew, but he was still nice at ball. And like, that was the story. That was the hoop dream story.
Listen, I bring up Juwanna Mann because of that, story. But also, remember the white girl that was on the team with Juwanna Mann, and she was like musty, or she had hair underneath her arms, and she had like a stash. That's actually a real WNBA player, and they actually made a movie about her sister and that player's lives on the Disney Channel. You wasn't a Disney Channel kid, but it was called Double Team, where
I remember
they made a movie about them. But what I'm saying is that she even looked like a man. Her and her sister look like men. They're masculine. It's like, and that's what's so insulting, is that if you get like a boisterous, like loud woman, men are quick to call like girly girls masculine, but then when it comes to Brittany Griner, but there are a lot of people who are like, nah, Brittany Griner is clearly a man. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they'll accept the LGBTQ or all these hidden people who are clearly masculine. Like, I don't know. Well, what's your thoughts? I'll be bringing that up because it's just like it's been circulating a lot on social media. I'm just like, but these people out here, you don't say nothing about them. You accept Brittany Griner. You know what I'm saying? These same people, they would never say anything about that being a man. They would never say it like how we saying it.
No one gave a flying ass about who this motherfucker was until they brought her up anyway. Nobody knew who she was. Nobody cared who she was. Y'all only caring right now because they keep putting her in our faces. No one's probably ever seen this motherfucker play ball a day in her life.
His life.
Have you seen her play ball?
His life.
Have you seen him play ball?
Hell no. I never cared about.
My point being,
I just
right
knew
there,
that the only reason why I knew about him is because
of social media.
Not even social media. I've been knew about Brittany Griner before this entire situation. I just knew that was a he/she. That's what I knew him for. A he/she in the WNBA.
Okay.
It's true.
Either way, though.
Did you know about Brittany Griner before this?
Absolutely not.
So I'm saying I knew about Brittany Griner before this.
Okay.
Because I always knew that was a man, and it was always. I had conversations in the past before, like with my sister-in-law. She was introducing to me like how a lot of these people are opposite sex, and she used that person as an example. So I've been knew about this person years ago. That's how I knew.
One of the governors in Detroit is a full-blown tranny. You know what I mean? Like, they was like, oh, they like the first governor official to be a open tranny.
A lot of them are trannies. He's just the open one.
But outside of them, we don't want to keep sitting on the alphabets. What else you want to talk about?
Nothing else in the news. Shout out to everybody else who's been sending us stuff. There's been a lot of missing children in Memphis. A lot of missing children. You already know what that's about. Sex trafficking, organ harvesting, you know what I'm saying? Rituals. It's sad. And a good majority is black, if not all of them. If not all, they're all black. So you already know what that is. It's that get out shit. That's really much it. We can get in today's episode.
I mean, even going back into you talking about the child trafficking. Me and the realist that watched film the other day, which was like awkward in the very beginning. What was it called with the black dude?
What film?
Oh, it was called The Peters. Meet the Peters or some shit. No, Meet the Pedals.
Oh no, it's called Peoples.
The Peoples.
It's starring Craig. What's his name? That comedian. It has Kerry Washington in it, and it has the guy from freaking Living Color. Dang it. What's his name? David. What's that comedian? They had two main comedians in this.
Right.
I gotta tell them. So they know who we talking about. Ah, goodness. You know, his name is Craig. His name is Craig Robinson. That's who it starred. Craig Robinson, and and Kerry Washington was in it. And who's that older comedian? Because I gotta get his name too. David Allen Greer. I wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure. Okay, that's what.
So, in the film, it gave me the Aries Spears vibes. I'm gonna tell you why. And I'll bring up the Aries Spears if you guys was tapped in or not tapped in. But anyway, in this film, in the beginning, they talk about how the dude, he wanted to be a child psychiatrist, but he didn't finish school to become a child psychiatrist. He ended up just settling with doing like a program where he tried to quote unquote help teenage or adolescent students get through just awkward stages in their life. And he had a weird song that he used to sing with the kids. The song was pretty much about telling kids not to urinate on their parents. And it was awkward when I first heard it. I'm like, why would they start a movie off like this with this dude singing this song up to kids about not urinating on their parents? And he's singing to two kids like in a movie. I didn't think this shit was funny. So they even brought up how awkward it was in like the next scene with one of his co-stars. And it reminded me of this Aries Spears thing that went around on the internet about a month or two ago. For those who saw it, with Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, and they did this awkward scene where Aries Spears was playing an uncle who was babysitting one of his sister's kids, and they were showing how you'll have the one uncle who's a perv and he's looking at your kid in a sexual way. And they had like this one kid in a scene that was just sitting there in his boxers in like weird positions. It was very strange. Either way, it just gave me vibes like that, and it just brought up the child trafficking situation. Whereas the media, these movies, they're always playing with the kids. You know what I mean? Like, in the most awkwardest way. We had the Balenciaga thing. People had brought up some old photos of Rihanna holding a random white baby with her titties out. It was very strange. They all
have done that.
Right. But now that's all ritualistic. You know what I mean? Yeah, but these are the same people who everyone's just going batshit crazy over.
You know how many like photo shoots they've done that with? Like even Little Kim has photos of like
holding random babies,
holding baby dolls, or
it's weird.
It is weird. It's evil because they do a lot of evil rituals with children, and they do a lot of things with newborns. It's just pure wickedness. Whatever disgusting, vile thing you could think of, that's what they do with children. And so it's sad that there are children going missing in Memphis, and they're going missing all around the world. And we have done episodes dedicated to this, and how it goes from the freaking CPS, they're in on it. The foster parents are in on it. Oh, yeah. So, it's an evil, vicious cycle.
Foster parents, I feel like, even real parents, I feel like I'm going off of even like the R. Kelly thing, how the parents was willing to give their daughters to him. I feel like parents, foster parents, all them government agencies that are quote unquote made to protect kids, all the other shit, like you said, they're all in on it. I hear so many parents on a day-to-day basis say how they can't wait to just get rid of their kid for a night. You know what I mean? Imagine somebody, a broke-ass single mom or a single dad who just ain't got no money, then let's say they really don't give a fuck about their kid. Let's say this kid was a bastard child type shit. Let's say this kid had every negative thing just lying on top of him, and somebody's offering to give you a couple of racks for your kid. I feel like there's people out there who are doing it.
Yeah.
You feel me? Kid 2 years old, don't really know much about me. Mom ain't give a fuck about the kid as it is. Had it with some nigga who only gave her a one night stand type shit. She already got like 5-6 kids as it is. She can't handle it. Take my kid. You said CPS, take the kid. Foster people, definitely take the kid. You know what I mean? Foster people are definitely just tormenting half of their foster kids. Some of them do it for a check and some of them just torment them. So we heard them stories about the foster parents, the the boarding schools, what's the homes that the kids stay in when they are foster kids?
I'm not sure. Foster home, things
of that nature, you know? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Let's get into today's episode. This is episode 174, and the title of this show is called The Burden of Family.
The Burden of Family.
The Burden of Family. We're doing this show, it's more so like venting, and I'm sure that a lot of people could relate to this show because there has just been certain things that have been going on in my life. There's things that Dutch has been through in the past. And I feel like family, you know, when it comes to family, it's like we're taught that, you know, blood is thicker.
The other cheek.
Blood is thicker than water. Turn the other cheek.
And to always ride for your family, right or wrong.
Yep.
All right, that's what we're told to do. We're taught to do, and those family members that we're taught to ride for in one generation, the next generation is not taught the same thing. The next generation is taught every man for themselves, fuck everybody.
And to be honest, even though like our parents or our grandparents have taught us this, a lot of the times when you actually see their relations with their first cousins and their siblings, it's all shit. It's like there's always beef. There's always drama. They tell you, it's like, isn't that hypocritical? It's like when you coming up, your parents is telling you, oh, you and your siblings, that's all y'all got. When we're not here, that's all y'all got. But when it comes to their relationship with their siblings, it's like, well, you have beef with my auntie, you have beef with my uncle, or you not even fucking with so-and-so, or you have beef with your father, you have beef with your own mother. And so it's like super hypocritical.
It's out of good intentions. It's like,
not really, because
it's like I might have beef with my family members, but I don't want my kids to have beef with their cousins. I don't want some people don't want their kids to grow up beefing with their first cousins and beefing with their sisters. But some things are inevitable. Some things are unpreventable. You can't stop these things from happening, but they have good intentions for why they try to preach this to us, to treat our family like that because they have fucked up situations, in my opinion.
I can understand that. It's just sometimes it's just like, you have to lead by example. But then at the end of the day, like you just said, the inevitable will happen where you outgrow people in general, including your family members. And a lot of the times family really ain't shit. And a lot of the times, like, it's a burden. Like, you love your people to death, but you all know not everybody in your family is spiritual. Not everybody in your family understands the truth. A lot of people in your family look at you like you're a nut job. Like, if you sit here and you speak out against the jab, or if you try to like say anything that we talk about, like, shit, some of your family members, if you try to tell them that Brittany Griner's a man, they gonna fucking come at you tooth and nail.
Like, no, that's a
woman, and you're ignorant, and you're homophobic, and you're sexist. It's just like, Oh, family is just this word.
Smoothie King does coffee better than the rest. Delicious coffee smoothies with new espresso or cold brew plus real nutrition. Enjoy any 20-ounce coffee smoothie for just $5 all day when you scan with the app. Valid at participating locations. See website for terms. Make Smoothie King your king of coffee.
Mary redeemed a $50,000 cash prize playing Chumba Casino this year.
I was only playing for fun, so winning this was a dream come true.
Chumba Casino is America's #1 social casino experience. It's serious fun. With over 80 casino-style games to choose from, you too could win life-changing amounts of cash. Be like Mary. Log on to ChumbaCasino.com and give them a whirl. That's ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details. The voice in the preceding commercial was not the actual voice of a winner.
Thing in society has damaged what family values really is.
Especially within our community.
Especially within our community. I mean, within all communities. But I know our shows are always focused on us. But from my experience in life with different ethnicities of known people, it's in all families. Every family got the same archetype of a type of person within there that's fucking up the family. Every family got a cousin that's fucked up, that's doing dirty to other cousins. Every family got a drunk uncle. Everybody's cousin got a drug addict person. It don't matter. White, black, Arabic. It don't matter how woke you are. Hebrew, Chinese. Everybody got it. Every single person got it, people, and that's why I want us to keep that in mind. So don't be so harsh on our own community. Everybody got it.
I understand we have our issues is
infiltrate, right? We have a like I said, a target for we don't want this type of family.
It's like they have done things intentionally, like
from slavery days to break down our family dynamic.
Break down our family dynamic, and the main thing, which we have said several times on this show, is removing that head, that man. So, our issues are a lot different. It's a little bit more special, but I hear what you're saying that everybody has the drunk auntie,
everybody got the gay cousins, the gay cousin, everybody got it.
Somebody in your family,
right? I've heard crazy stories with the white folks, yo. They got the dad that left the mom for a man. You know what I mean? That's traumatizing.
In our community too.
That's happening in our community now. I don't think that shit was a norm, but that shit is going on nowadays. You got the, like I said, the drunk, the drugs. Got the hateful cousins, the shiesty cousins, the backstabbers. You got the ones who trying to steal money from you. You got the family who's plotting on the elder to die so they can take the money. And then they got the money. And family get real nasty with death come along. Oh.
They be ready to collect insurance wherever them wills come out. It's just nasty.
It gets so nasty. And I feel bad, but I realize again, that's in every family dynamic I've seen. No matter how old you get, how young you are, ethnicity, every family.
So here's my question to you and other people. And we might actually flip this and turn this into the new Righteous Speaks. But the question to you is, do you feel like family can be a burden to you spiritually, emotionally, physically,
family is the number one weapon. I just think back. Right now, my brain goes thinking to these celebrities, right? And for example, Ye. I'll keep using Ye because he's just prominent. They keep using. He keeps talking about his family as if the higher ups, are going to use them as a weapon against him. And they always want to take what you love the most. Family is the biggest manipulating pool you could take you could do with anybody. It's caring so much about them is almost it's a burden, like you said. Like you said, detrimental. Yeah. I'm not telling people not to care about your family, but there's people out there who will change their whole dynamic of how they're living to care about that one person in their family that they love so much. How many people you know right now that probably left their whole living situation to go take care of their moms? You know what I'm saying? They left all the money on the table to go take care of somebody that they love. There's people out there who, there's guys out there. I remember stories my people used to say, I got tired of fighting for my sister. Why? Because my sister keep fucking with this dude. You know what I mean? I did do it and whooped your ass now. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm in the hospital because I'm fighting for my sister who keep fucking with this dude who keep putting his hands on her. You can't care but so much. They don't learn. She's not learning. Why am I fighting for her? Because I love her. You know, because that's my sister.
It really is.
But yet you in the hospital now because you love your sister so much.
It will hurt you. Like, it will hurt you. It's like that blind, stupid love. Because you do love your people, but it really will hurt you in the end. And I feel like we're in this day and age where, honestly, you have to kind of choose yourself, because a lot of people are going to fold anyway, because a lot of people in our family are going to take the mark, and a lot of people in our family already folded with the vaccine. So it's just like you kind of have to protect yourself. But I'm glad you brought up that as an example, because like I'm going through that now. Like, you try to tell your loved one, you know, to do better or to like maneuver a certain type of way, but then they're not even strong enough to do it, and it's like it's bothering you. It's making you depressed. It's making you like, why? Like, you feel bad if your loved one is going through something, but then if they're not even trying to take, you know, advice from me or other people in the family,
take the proper action towards whatever, you know, like you said, you know, what's the point? You know, it's hurting your own feelings that they won't take the action. Like I said, that I'm the guy with the little sister, and little sister keep out there thotting and doing that shit, and I gotta keep being big brother to save my little sister. I'm tired of doing it. I would be tired of doing that shit.
Yeah.
Because you keep on doing stupid shit. You feel me?
Yeah. One thing my father always gave so many different examples, especially when it came to our family and his side of the family. And he had his cousin, you know, that he loved, like his, you know, his first cousin that he loved. And anytime she had problems with niggas, she was always calling my dad. I said this on the show before. She would always call my dad. My dad would be first to her aid, ready to fight niggas. You know what I'm saying? And then there was a time when he went over to where, you know, she called for him, niggas had guns and all this shit. Pulled all these guns on my dad. And like, my dad had to be smart to get out of that situation. But it's just like, family will get you killed. Like, she could have ended up getting my father killed. I wouldn't even be here. Because of her own stupid decisions.
And because his own love and caring emotion. You know
exactly.
What I mean? So you gotta be careful with how much you want to care for family. I could see why people, you know, if they got a son or an uncle that keep getting locked up, I can't keep bailing you out. You feel me? Yeah, it's really just detrimental family. And again, you know, I'm not trying to sit here and say don't love your family. Please love your family. I'm a family-oriented nigga. I love to love my family, but I have a bad seed in my family that I know I can't love but so much, but I still can't help but love the person just because that's your family by default. You know what I mean? All the time.
It's like an innate thing.
Yeah.
It don't matter if you don't even talk to your loved ones, like on a regular, if you have a close relationship, it's just that love is just there. Even if they do you wrong, like it's like it's like a stupid type of love. Like,
I mean, it's your blood family.
It's
like,
your blood.
So the whole, in my own opinion, the whole blood thicker than water is because by blood you're going to feel so connected. You know what I mean?
Do you think that it's ingrained because we share blood and DNA, or do you think it's just something that we're taught this by our parents? Like, this is your sibling, this is your family. You're supposed to love them unconditionally. You're supposed to blood thicker than water.
It's a little bit of both, because it's like you're going to love them by default, not just because you said that's my cousin. It's like if you could, like, boom, if I go to a family reunion. Oh, these are your cousins, and you could show me how. That's this person from that person, You could see right there how close that person kind of is. Even they almost kind of look like you, and we could see your own little feature in them because, you know, your mom, your auntie, uncle, everybody all gonna look like grandma. You know what I mean? So you do the whole family tree, so you could see why you would have this natural connection to this person. You feel me?
For me, I feel like, well, Dutch is different because I have siblings. And he didn't really have siblings. His cousins were like his siblings, but it's not really the same. So, like, for me, I was just always taught, like, my siblings and their kids is more so immediate. And I'm not even really immediate. Like, once your siblings have children, you're not even immediate no more. Their immediate family is their kids, of course. But I was just always taught that's my immediate family. And when it came to, like, cousins and stuff, like, yeah, like, family reunions or certain holidays, you would see your cousins, but I never really, like, had close cousin relationships to give a fuck about my cousins, to be honest. Like, it's like, if you're there, you care about your cousins. If if you hear that they're doing good, you're in good spirits, you're happy about it, but I never really care because I think I just never had, like, close enough relationships when I was older with my cousins. When I was younger, it was different. But like,
for me, cousins was always like your automatic by default best friend before your friends.
For you, because you didn't have any siblings.
Kind of, sort of. But even when I went, like, to go visit my other family, and I'm like, oh, these are all my cousins, it was like just automatic by default. You just my bestest friend because you my cousin. Like, fuck a friend. You know what I mean? Like, I would put, family trait. I would put cousins before a friend. Well, I got my cousins by default. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know by blood, you can call up your cousin to come ride for you, some people, before your best friend. Maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I just think that it's, like, overrated because you could find somebody who's not related to you who will do you right, who will go hard, who believes the same things you believe, who see all the stuff in the world, see the corruptness, the evilness, and they're on the same, like, spiritual wavelength as you. And then you have your family, yeah, you love them, but then they're dumb. Like, they're vaccinated. So it's like, what the fuck can you do? Like, it's like a point where, honestly, you do kind of have to separate, because there's going to be a point where you got to choose your life over theirs, because if they out here gonna get vaccinated, they're gonna get sick, and they're making all these decisions, why the fuck should you go down for their mistakes?
Right.
What's your thoughts on that? Because it's like,
nah, you shouldn't go down for nobody's mistakes but your own. You know what I mean? People need to have better accountability for self without trying to drag other people in. Especially and another thing I noticed with family always quick to blame another family member for their own, like, issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many? Right now, you guys listening, you could probably think of a time where your mom or dad or aunt or uncle or somebody that's close to you blame their own mom or dad for some shit that they got into, and like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have did this.
Oh my
if y'all would have raised me like this, I wouldn't have did this. Oh, if you would have had me brought up in this kind of environment, it would be some type of excuse. Family's always going to be the first to blame. You know what I mean? I feel like that's why I see a lot of people nowadays have that cold heart towards family. You know what I'm saying? The family at that point just becomes a word. It doesn't become a definition of values and morals anymore. You know what I mean? It just became another word in the dictionary, like girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever label you want to place on top of somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Family, the word family used to have morals, values, and ethics behind it. Like, this is my family, we move as a unit. Like, when you have a family reunion, everyone's wearing the same t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel like it's not the same. But I think it's not the same because a lot of people have turned the cheek for their family. Like, they'll realize. And it's never stopped. Like, the backstabbing and the bullshit never, like, stopped. It's just back then, you always had that patriarch or that matriarch that was the glue that, like, kept everybody together so that, the family stayed a certain type of way. But then once that person dies, it's just kind of like the other people, like, fuck, why am I going to keep taking shit? That person
dies, all the morals and values and ethics. That person was the thing that was keeping it all
But
together.
Was it right, though? Because it's like, yeah, you keep turning the cheek, but why are you going to keep, like, taking bullshit and taking things from your people?
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. It's not right as an individual. You know what I mean? It's a real touchy subject. It all depends on how your own morals, values, and beliefs is aligned, and what you feel like the Most High would appreciate you doing as an individual. If the Most High is telling you to fall back from that particular family member, that's what you got to do. Because not all kinfolk is right for you. You feel me? But the Most High got you having patience. He got you still being just a solid individual because of the values and morals that he put into you. And how you going to treat your family, you're going to continue to treat your family as you're going to want to treat them, or as you should. There's nothing wrong with boxing in your family either. I box with my friends. There's nothing wrong with boxing in your family. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I can only fuck with this particular family member for this particular reason. If you only got to fuck with them to help out grandma, or you got to help out auntie, it is what it is. You only fucking with them when you're helping out auntie and grandma. You only fucking with them at family reunions. You only fucking with them to make things continue to move forward for the family's sake, and then you go about your business. It just be like that. You don't gotta be buddy. Sometimes you just gotta do that, and if you just gotta cut off that family member, then just cut them off for some time. Don't let too much time go by though, because when you get lonely, when you get to this point in the world where you just really by yourself, family's really gonna be all you have left, and that's what my mind takes me when it comes around to just thinking in the future. You know what I mean? You could have your girlfriend, your wife, you could have your spouse, you could have all these friends. When these people drop off like flies, because it happens every day. Wives and husbands get divorced all the time. Friends drop off like flies. The one thing you might have left is family. You don't know what that family member that you was beefing with, you don't know what that person going to be going through around them times when that time gets rough for you. Y'all might be all y'all got left. So you're going to continue to hold the grudge. It's these little things that I think about in the future for people. I tell these things to, my own moms and other family members, like, yo, don't hold grudges too much on other family members, because you never know when you really going to need that person to slide for you, or they going to need you to slide for them for something. You know what I mean? Just don't look at it like that. These are people who've been in your life for 30, 40, 50 years, who love you unconditionally no matter what.
For me, it's like kind of difficult because it's like the love is there. Yeah, like I have siblings I grew up with, but I don't have anything in common with any of my siblings. None of my siblings are spiritual or understand the things that I understand, but I love them. But then when I'm around them, it's kind of draining, because it's like I gotta force myself to talk about really, really surface level things, because there's nothing else to talk about to them with, because they just won't understand it. You know what I'm saying? Or if you try to talk about things, it's going to offend people, or, they're just going to think that you're crazy. So to me, that becomes like very overwhelming. And honestly, the only person that I can talk to about anything with, and who truly understands me and is like awakened to the fact of all this spiritual stuff, is my mother. And I thank Yah that I do have a mom who understands everything that I say, and me and her can have these conversations. We could read the Bible, we can talk about these things, and my mom trusts my word. If I'm like, you better never get that vaccine, she's like, I believe you, honey, I understand what you're saying. So to have my mom in this, like really knowing and really growing into this, to me, that's just so much favor, because so many people don't have their mom who's on that same like wavelength, that wavelength, or they just don't understand. So it's kind of hard. And so like for me, it'd be like I'd rather just cling to the family members who get that, because that's where I'm at in my life right now, and that's just how I feel. It's like, yeah, I can hang out with my siblings, and we could play like games, and it could be like a good time, but that's it. And it's just like, in these day and age, you can't just keep it like that, because shit is getting realer and realer every day. So how much can you really keep it in La La Land? Because I can't keep it in La La Land. Everybody else is in La La Land. I can't be in La La Land, because I know shit's coming. And so to me, that's what makes it hard.
Yeah, everybody wants to be in La La Land. They're choosing to be in La La Land. That's really what it is.
Well, how does it make you, like, how does it make you feel, like, when you know, like...
I don't.
You don't have, like, you don't feel any type of way? It doesn't bother you?
What, that they choose to be in La La Land?
Yeah.
No. I don't care no more. I try, when I care too much, I got people upset, so I stopped caring.
So how do you just navigate it? You just keep it surface level and just keep it like...
I don't say but so much. I mean, I know my people's, I know they didn't get the shock or they already heard what I said. I said what I said to them. They know I was dead ass. Cause I don't be like, when I'm dead ass with them, I'm dead ass with them. I'm like, y'all make your own choices, but you know what I'm saying? You don't just think about what you gonna do. Because you planted the seed, they think about it. I know my voice rings in their head. But as of everything else, like, some people just can't get all extra deep with and shit. I mean, it is what it is. You feel me? Like, I just choose to ignore it and enjoy everything else about the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when my folks, it's like, all right, you still want to be on your holiday shit. Don't talk to me about holidays. But we could talk about other shit. You know what I mean?
But then it'd be conflicting. Like, it'd be conflicting because it'd be like, because they want to do that. And then it'd be like, well, why you don't want to do that no more? Like, why are you acting like this?
I'm already past that phase with them. I had to go through that for 3-4 years. And then after that, you know what I'm saying? It was like, all right, I'm over it. They're over it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. To me, it's just, it's hard for me to like, I get what you're saying as far as enjoying them for certain things.
Everything else, yeah.
But it's like, for me, I can't do that. Well, it's like, I could spend, but it's like in small dosages. I couldn't fucking be around that like 24/7. I couldn't. Cause it's like, I'm dumbing myself down. And this is not where I'm at spiritually. It's just like, it's just not aligning. Like, I can't get deep with you. And then it's like other worldly actions is fucking you up. And then it just makes it even more like annoying for me to have to hear and listen to things like that. It really does fuck with your spirit. Like, it really does fuck with you. And so for me, it's just like small dosages, like, or just talk about movies, talk about things. But it's like, you know how me and you, Dutch, we could talk about a movie and we gonna talk about it like all over the place. Yeah, we could be like, this was a good movie. But then me and you'll be like, did you see those symbolisms? Did you see that? Oh, wow, this connects to this connects to that. But then when you talk to your other family member, you literally gotta just talk about the movie. Like, you can't even go deep. And like, I don't know, for something like that, that's what kind of bothers me.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's just like, okay, like, if the conversation could go so far.
Yeah, I have the same relationship with like some of my friends. Like, I have a friend who play video games a lot, and I play the games with him, and it might be surface level, but when I start getting all deep, can't keep up in the conversation.
That's why I'm like, what's the point then? Of like,
it's almost pointless. It's like, oh yeah, I got that part. I got into that part of the game. Did you peep the part where this person did la la la? Did you peep how this person la la la? And then it's like it gets like a dead point. And it's like, damn, like, yeah. I wish you would pay it. Like, you both into the same thing, but you're not looking into the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're not seeing what I'm seeing, and I don't know. Like, I know the person just don't give a fuck really about whatever, but it's like, it would be cool if they did. You know what I mean?
I just feel like certain relationships are going to be detrimental to have. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's just getting to that point. Like, it's getting to that point, and I do feel like it's like a burden sometimes, like, because the love is like the love is just there, but then it's just like, well, damn, like, but you don't even see shit. You don't even know what's about to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, if shit pops off today, me and you already know what's up. They're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? They're gonna be just like the rest of the world.
Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying?
What was that?
That's the person calling. Like, oh, this never's happening, but like, remember that time when I told you about this, that, and the third?
Listen, they're not gonna be able to reach you. That's another thing too. They're gonna be like thinking about you, and they be like, shit.
And I tell you, my moms will call me. My moms will tell me, like, baby, That thing you told me about, that one thing, you was right. You was right. I just want to let you know you was right, okay? Have a good day. And I'm cool. I'll be like, thank you, Mom. I'm cool with that. Thank you. At least someone told me. Because she's paying attention now. She'll watch the news and she'll share articles with me. She'll be like, this is the same, similar to what you was referring to. I'm sharing this article with you because I remember you telling me about something like this months ago. One thing, since let me bring this up, one thing that I want y'all to pay attention to that I would love to probably do a conversation about, that my mom's is bringing to my attention, that the black housing market, a lot of these people, they're either overcharging black people to move into certain areas. They're not charging white people the same prices or other ethnicities the same prices. And when it comes time for wealthy black people or just any type of black people who want to sell their homes, the real estate agent is lowballing the home. And there's been articles on the news. It happened to a California couple, 3 different black couples in California. It happened to within the span of a month or two. The one black family, he has said I think, he did like a whole bunch of renovations to some, big old nice house in California, whatever. He went to sell the crib for about $800,000. The real estate person was lowballing it down to like $400,000, trying to get it off. And the guy was like, no, I want $800,000 from my house. I know how much my house is worth. Because their black family kept lowballing it, right? They fired the person. They want them selling it more. Then they rerouted the situation, and the guy had a colleague who said, you know what? Let me act like I'm you. I'm gonna make the house look like this is me and my wife's house. Not the house itself, but like the pictures up in the house, like, oh, this white people that live here. And the real estate agent was trying to sell it for the $800,000 and more because it was a white family that quote unquote owned the house. Or that they thought owned the house, that they perceived it was really a black family. And because they was able to prove that this happened on different occasions, it's just something I'm bringing up for everyone to look out for, how we are always being looked against, even, in other ways. You can have money and you're still trying to downplay you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird. I know kind of veer left from the whole family thing, but just think about family just brought up that whole housing thing with me in my mind, like how we all be a low ball. We need to stick together and everything overall. But let's go back into the
Do you feel like family could be a financial burden, or
all the time?
And that's another thing too.
Family, and your lady, your kids, and your family is going to be.
Kids and your wife don't count.
Oh yeah, they do. Oh yeah, they do. Your family, your kids, the wife. If the kids and wife is considered in the same category as family, depending on where you at in your life, those are going to be your biggest expenses.
How are you not? Your kids is not your family?
I said depending on where you're at in your life. Like I said, because some people can have kids that are grown adults. They're not really a financial burden to them no more. Their kids are well off. If anything, the kids are giving them money now, and they're good. Depending on where you're at in your life. We don't have kids, so I can't relate to too much of what I'm about to say, but you're one of my biggest expenses, and you're just my wife. So it's like, these are going to be your biggest financial expenses.
Yeah, but okay, let's not talk about direct, like immediate or relations.
What are we talking about here?
Like, also, like it'd be situations where you're gonna have to help your older parent.
Yeah, family is a burden.
Something could happen
financially
with your siblings' kids or something like that, and it'd be like, damn, and then it'd be like, you be like trying to get your shit together, and then something happened with them, and you'd be like, fuck, now I gotta sit here and help them. And I know that sounds like I'm complaining, but it'd be like, a family could be a serious financial burden, especially if it's like, if you're doing the best that you can to get your shit together, and then your people, maybe if it's not unforeseen circumstances, it could be something else, and you'd be like, damn.
Like, it's always something like that. I'm getting my shit together, and this motherfucker always keeping me down because this motherfucker needs something for something. This motherfucker need help, and I care about them because they my you know what I mean? It's just, like I said, people, it all depends on how much of title or how much weight you're giving that person in your life to have that much power and control?
It depends on who it is and if they will reciprocate. Because I know, at least for my people, they will reciprocate, and it's been done. Like growing up, you know, we've been always taught to like take care of one another. Like we've always showered each other with gifts and just different things. And like, especially with me and my sister, it's always like that. So it's like, there's things that I've done for her, things that I've done for her kids, or, you know, my other, nieces and nephews. And it's just like, well, actually, I can't even say it. Certain family members, certain siblings, and certain kids, I don't even get shit. It's not about giving to get something back, but it's just like they'll treat you a certain type of way. They just disregard all the shit that you have ever done. That's what makes it fucked up. So sometimes you got to be careful with even trying to help somebody financially or do things, because they might not even respect you enough or even care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do something for somebody and they don't even care. Like, for example, you could lend your cousin some $20 and niggas will sit here and buy new J's, go and get some new watches, new shoes, going out, spending money, and they not even gonna give you your $20 back they asked for you. You get what I'm saying, Dutch? Mm-hmm. Like, you could sit here and do certain things and people will just disregard you. And that's the most disrespectful thing that you could do, is you could lend somebody some money and them niggas is showing up in some new fucking outfits, new fits, hanging out, going out. You know what I'm saying? That just
It is the Riots Podcast. It is Friday, December 9th, and this is our first Friday of a few where Isaiah's going to be noticeably absent.
Isaiah was smart. He planned his vacation days properly.
Yeah, we can't even be mad about that.
No, it's clever. You want to be out the most around Christmas time. So hopefully, along with Isaiah, maybe you have some time off soon.
Mm-hmm. You can, if not, this is a lesson for next year.
To plan better.
Map out your vacation days, and you can really, maybe once the holidays come around, you can maximize them, or maybe more fun to just have a bunch of Fridays off across the summer.
Oh, that would be nice. Like on a month when there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Nothing's better than a surprise day off.
What if?
Not for being sick, but just for an actual day off.
Yeah. What if, I always think August is like one of the worst months of the year. We go the entire month after July 4th.
Yeah.
You don't get a holiday until Labor Day. You go 2 months. So you've got to schedule some days off in there. Maybe if you don't have a vacation, you just pop a few random Fridays or Mondays, and you're living large.
Well, normally we say, Isaiah, what's in the podcast today? But I'll ask you, Hudson, what's in the podcast today?
All right. I will tell you that at the back end of the podcast, there's some Pete Davidson talk, and he's back.
He's back?
He never truly disappeared unless you were following him on Instagram and that was your only exposure to him, and then he disappeared.
So I guess this is a question for everybody listening. Like, does that bother you when you're like, oh, this is something clever and fun to follow on Instagram because it's him and Eli Manning? But then it's for a commercial or for a brand
They're
or for something.
They're probably not actually friends, and even if they were friends,
they're not hanging out.
No, and even if they were, they wouldn't be like Instagramming everything they do and them lying in bed together talking.
If you look at the apartment they're in, that's not even their places.
No,
so
you're right about
does that bother you? Because it's not like real, and I think we all know, because sometimes I feel like brands try to not like pull one over on you, but like, they're not really hanging out.
Whatever brand this is, they are playing a long game too.
They are.
Because there's no branding on anything that they posted yet. So they don't even have to put the little hashtag sponsored or whatever. They don't have to do any of that yet.
They think it's for the Super Bowl, so they got a while.
But
I guess we'll see. But I just, sometimes branding stuff bothers me.
Yeah, it does. It just feels, what I see a lot is that our generation, we just want authenticity.
Yeah.
and there's nothing authentic about what they're
There's
doing.
not.
We also, talking football, we get to Nikki really came through with a surprise. I don't want to say that.
No.
No, I was surprised at your football knowledge. You've picked up on a lot.
I listen when you guys talk. I'm learning.
But some of this stuff is so new that there's not even, you couldn't have even picked it up from Isaiah and I.
No, I try to pick it up because
following along.
I assume that you're going to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed. I was definitely impressed by that. So we've got maybe Nikki's got another extra career ahead of her. And then one other thing earlier on in the podcast, we talk about a little prank that you can pull on your parents.
Now, it means some work for you, but if you're willing to, it's actually a nice prank.
It is. It can make your parents feel like they're getting a little extra attention, and so it's kind of sweet, but it's still funny for you. You can have a good time with it.
Are you ready for the podcast?
Yes.
I guess when there's no Isaiah, we don't need some super long intro. He's the one making it
It's like half
long.
the length.
That's it.
Apparently. All
Enjoy.
right, well, have a good time.
Bye,
We'll catch you next
guys.
time.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
The holidays are here, and one of the things you got to do for the holidays, or do you? Christmas cards?
Yeah, I stopped doing that a while ago.
You did?
I mean, I'll do one for like family that I see. And so I'll make one, but like I don't mail Christmas cards to people you just casually know. That's long gone.
Yeah. You know, me and my wife, I think this year might be the year we decided to pull the plug on Christmas cards too. You know why? Is because we'd send them out, and I'm not angry at anybody for this, but because I completely understand, but we'd send out a bunch and then we'd get like one in return. And
no one does them.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't really, like, a picture, and then you feel obligated.
A letter of a yearly update.
Oh, I never got a letter.
We had one family member who would always do this like 2-page handwritten letter.
Yeah.
And it was 2-page, like handwritten to you. And we don't know them very well. So that means they were making letters for every card that went out.
They were really thinking about you.
This was their moment.
Yeah. Well, I think I've mentioned before how my mom back in the day.
They're also not together anymore, but that's fine.
My mom would write, she would write a letter about our family, an update that you would include in all her Christmas cards.
Yeah.
But it would be like a theme. Like one year it'd be like we were a rock band. And so she was describing our family as a rock band and giving an update. One year it was like it was a sports update. Like, yeah. Well, it was cute. She had a lot of time on her hands.
Did your family Christmas photo reflect the theme?
I know one time, I think the rock band year did, because we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and they took our picture or whatever. So that year maybe so. I don't know if it always did. But what were we talking about?
Christmas cards.
Christmas cards. Okay, we're not doing them anymore. But here's a fun prank you can pull. That's actually, it's a really fun prank, I think. And it's not hurting anybody. It's going around on TikTok. It is where you send your parents a Christmas card and you make it addressed like it's from somebody, you just make up names.
Oh, like so it'd be almost feeling like it's from a friend?
Yeah, and so
but they just don't remember?
Then exactly. You're trying to trick your parents into this is somebody that they should know, and they're giving you an update on their whole lives.
Aww.
And your parents don't know who they are because they don't actually exist.
What a weird prank, but it is nice because then maybe they feel like they have more going on for Christmas.
Well, maybe, but I was just thinking it's like payback, right? Because do your parents do this? I feel like most do, where you'll get on the phone with your mom or whatever, and she'll be like, oh, remember Carol from down the street?
Yeah.
She used to attend yoga class with me. She had a stroke the other day. Or something, and it's like, I have no idea who Carol is. Why are you telling me this? And that's how parents are. And so this is your way. This is you doing that to them of instead of saying one of your friends that they have no idea who it is, you just make somebody up.
Well, you're supposed to. A lot of people are choosing Steve and Janet to be the names.
Yeah. Very generic.
Classic.
You don't want to be too specific because then they'll be like, well, I know I would remember somebody named Henrietta. So, yeah, you know, like you can't be too.
Well, Steve and Janet,
creative.
those are classic older couple sounding names.
It sounds like your parents would have friends named Steve.
Yeah, you could totally do that. What a cute idea.
Yeah, that's something you can do. And hey, maybe again, this is going on TikTok. Maybe you can even film it and you get a few views and likes and whatnot.
Be a part of the trend.
Who knows?
And if your parents are super sweet and like they're so excited, I could see though me not telling them.
You don't want to break it to them.
No, I would just let them think like, oh, all these friends are coming back out and talking to them again.
What if you let this play out? You know, because you got to give it an address and everything.
Yeah.
But it's not. You can't make it your address. But so you give it like a real address though. Then your parents are like, oh, I should write them back, and then they write back to that address. But the address actually goes to somebody.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know who these people are. And then they become pen pals.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think you could maybe buy into a few P.O. boxes.
It might be illegal to put the wrong return address on something, right?
Listen, you could just really create this massive lie.
Yeah.
For your parents, but it's sweet.
But in a way, it's a really nice thing.
Yeah, what a good idea.
Yeah, all right. Well, there's an option for you. A sweet prank for Christmas.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Nikki, you ever seen a sword swallower?
I mean, probably like on a TV show and stuff.
You never seen one in person?
I don't. I mean, I feel like that'd be at the medieval thing. Or like the fair. And I don't think I have.
No, I knew a guy who was a sword swallower.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, like that was his profession or his hobby?
Yeah, no, it was I think he made pretty good money doing it. It's not easy to swallow swords.
What's the insurance look like?
Now that is a good
question. What's your medical?
Yeah, that feels like it would be a concern, especially when then you see a story like this where well-known San Diegan and sword swallower, of course, Scott Nelson, his sword swallowing name.
Yeah,
because nobody would go, "Hey, come see Scott Nelson." Nobody would care. So his sword swallowing name is Murragun the Mystic.
Oh, that feels very carnival-like.
Right?
Yes, it does.
And the bad news is he was hospitalized because he had a sword swallowing mishap at Six Flags in the D.C. area.
Looks like that's where he was working.
Yeah, I've been to that Six Flags. He had a sword swallowing mishap that left him with a slashed abdominal cavity and a pierced liver.
Now, they're being very sketchy about some of the details because they're like, it wasn't an accident during the Six Flags show.
Okay.
And it almost comes across like Six Flags is making them say that.
Yeah, doesn't it?
But they say it was rather an unrelated health condition, which relates back, though, to sword swallowing. So I don't know what it is.
Whoa, look at all the injuries on him, though.
Oh,
That's
is
not from
bad.
That is not from swallowing a sword.
It looks like he, like underneath his armpit.
Yeah.
He just has a ton of scars.
Like somebody attacked him.
Like he's been stabbed.
Yeah. This is bizarre. I was going into this thinking, oh no, the sword went the wrong way.
No.
But that is not the case.
Dude, what are you doing?
The injuries are from swords.
Yeah.
But it's not from him swallowing them. What are the odds, right?
I don't know.
He's 59 years old. You go through your life as a sword swallower, and maybe you have that thing in the back of your mind of like, well, like one time, maybe this doesn't go so well.
Well,
but you would expect to have a sword go the wrong way one day while you're swallowing. not to just get stabbed or whatever by one.
It's not like if he was swallowing swords, it would go out the side of his body.
No.
So this looks something else. But he says he has several acts, including sword swallowing. So maybe this was something else.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The guy that I knew that was a sword swallower, he, what do I remember him? I mean, he did other things. One of his cool trick, he would blow up like a balloon, really long.
Oh, I thought you meant his body would. I was like, he would blow up like a balloon.
Mean?
Well, you said he would blow up like a balloon.
No. He would blow up a balloon, and then he would swallow the balloon.
Oh, my gosh.
And swallow, and it's long, right? And then when it got down to his stomach, it would pop.
Whoa!
Yeah.
With the sword or just
no?
The
Because of like it's going all the way down his esophagus or whatever and hitting his.
Dude, you could do something else.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like that. Feels like the balloon would not be healthy to ingest.
No.
My mom was very worried about that when I was a child. Of me swallowing a balloon. So.
This goes back to the medical health insurance question. But apparently he could not eat for a month and he was out of work.
Yikes.
So he is now doing a GoFundMe, but he says, I can't stop my heart. He says he'll deal with the pain of my act. He works with.
Oh, so he's going back to sword swallowing and everything else after he recovers.
You can't leave your love.
No, that's right. Sword swallowing is his life. It's all he knows.
Oh, dude, your body's having problems.
He probably, as a sword swallower, I imagine he has a very similar issue to us in radio, where the skills you've used to garner your career
really don't
translate to anything else whatsoever.
I hear ya.
So what else is he supposed to do? He's got a sword swallow.
So he's okay now, but he had to be hospitalized.
Well, hats off to Murrigan the Mystic, Scott Nelson.
5 sores, scissored his abdominal cavity, and he pierced the lobe of his liver.
Ouch. Well, speedy recovery to you.
The Riot's x-rays just came in, and they all got that dog in them. Radio U.
Doesn't mean we can't do our Friday tradition.
Oh, the box office.
Box office. What did I say we were going to call this last week? I came up with a name.
Let's see.
What can we remember?
The Monday thing is,
box office buzz.
The box office buzz.
Yeah,
or I thought it was like a review or something.
Box office.
Like, isn't the review on Monday and buzz is what it is?
Review, though, that doesn't sound. Yeah, buzz definitely is Friday, right? So what was Monday?
I don't know. You're going to have to look it up.
Box office. It was box office something. All right, we'll think about that. But you know what? We've got until Monday to figure that out. If Isaiah was here, he would know. But all right, this is the box office buzz. This is what's coming out this weekend in theaters and on streaming. And I'm confident that there's something for everybody this weekend. The big release, I would say, as far as movies go, as far as in theaters, I should say, is The Whale.
The Whale? Oh!
Big release.
Finally.
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
The Whale is here. That is the new movie starring Brendan Fraser making his big return. Okay, I got to stop saying big. I feel like it's insulting at this point.
That one, they filmed that movie like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's finally going to be in theaters. I wish it was streaming. I would totally watch it.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully one day. Of course, this has, they have Oscar hopes attached to it, at least for Brendan Fraser. I don't know. The movie itself has 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know if that's a Best Picture quality film. But Brendan Fraser getting all, I mean, was he supposed to be like 600 pounds or something like that in the movie? Not all of that is actually him.
It was a bodysuit.
Like, there was a bodysuit, but he did have some weight on him. So that is out this weekend in theaters. The actual description is: an obese and reclusive English teacher tries to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter for one last chance at redemption And his daughter, I believe, is played by Sadie Sink from Stranger Things, of course. So there's an option for you.
That's possible.
Let's see, what else do we have? I'd say the next biggest release would be on streaming. It's on Netflix. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is out this weekend.
I'm not going to watch that.
You're
but
not?
that was, I mean, the trailer was interesting, but that's totally not my style.
The animation style is not it's not something that I particularly enjoy. However, Guillermo del Toro movies I do enjoy. And then you look at the cast too, and you're talking we have a tie-in. Finn Wolfhard. Stranger Things.
From also Stranger Things.
Ewan McGregor is in it. Tilda Swinton, who's always seems to be in Guillermo del Toro movies.
Can we all think of anything worse than the Pinocchio story? Like, it's just not our favorite.
You don't like it?
No, I don't.
What if I told you it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Even not more interested now.
What are you talking about?
I don't want to watch that.
You know, I don't know what will convince you.
Now, I am kind of interested in, believe it or not. Do you remember the Night at the Museum movies?
Yeah, I do.
So Disney Plus now has an animated series.
I see that.
Based off of that.
Oh, it's a series.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. What is that? Conmunra Rises Again. I don't know. I remember Night at the Museum and the first one being pretty okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, they made more that were not pretty okay.
That was not as good.
And so it's called Night at the Museum, but it's not like Ben Stiller from the movies is involved, and it's a cartoon. So it's just way different. I mean, I guess you can't really, if you liked Night at the Museum, I guess there's a chance you like this, but also there's a chance it has hardly anything to, like, there's no correlation at all.
It doesn't really mix with it.
But that is out this weekend. Another one that's out on streaming, Apple TV Plus, you can now see Emancipation, which is
the Will Smith
Will
one.
Smith's big return after the slap.
So basically, just know this. It's not a really big streaming weekend or a big theater weekend, because that's all going to be next weekend with the Avatar stuff.
Well, what if I told you this, though? I've got one for you.
What else?
Something from Tiffany's.
They are pushing that hard at me.
Are they?
I get ads for that constantly.
I've not even heard of it until now, but then I see that it's a Hallmarky Christmas movie that's on Amazon Prime.
Well, you have
Video.
to really dissect it. Like, if you've ever watched, sometimes they'll make a movie that's really just one big promotional thing.
Okay.
So it is one big commercial for Tiffany's, the jewelry company.
Oh, that's what it actually, that's the Tiffany's?
That's what it is. So it's one really, really, really big ad in form
just
of a
in time
movie
for the holiday.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure it will work really well on. I don't even know. I don't know how that's supposed to work.
Well, if you want
something, like, ladies supposed to watch it with their man, and then they're
and
like,
try to get him
oh,
to
look
get
at that,
yeah.
and look at that, and look at that, and that's like he's going to retain any of that information.
It's just really shockingly one big commercial.
You watch it with your guy, he's going to be looking at his phone, checking on the sports scores the whole time.
But if you watch the Night at the Museum thing, he might take you to the museum.
Your For You page would be a lot more fun if it had Hudson, Nikki, and Isaiah. Follow at Radio U Official on TikTok. The Riot. Radio U.
Nikki, you love Bing Crosby, don't you?
Isn't he an older actor, singer person?
Yeah, he's in your favorite Christmas movie.
White Christmas?
Nikki, who doesn't like anything old.
Well,
loves
okay.
Bing Crosby and White Christmas.
No, hang on. I just happen to like White Christmas. I don't
song?
know if I don't even know if I particularly like any of the people that are in White Christmas. It's just some Christmas movie that I really enjoy.
Yeah, well, Bing
but
Crosby.
I couldn't tell you who else is in the movie.
Neither could I. Bing Crosby, not just known for singing White Christmas, he sang a lot of songs, actually. He's a big singer back in the day. And one of his worst is Mele Kalikimaka. You know that one?
I do.
It's in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Mele Kalikimaka.
Oh, is that his version?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think he was the first person to do that song.
Is it so? It's his original.
Well, he didn't write it, but yeah, he. I bet you he didn't speak Hawaiian. Do you think?
I don't think
Something
so.
tells me Bing Crosby did not speak Hawaiian, but that song is now being called into question a little bit all these years later because Mele Kalikimaka, evidently in Hawaiian, is actually like gibberish. It's not actually a real
Hang on,
word.
according to this song, that's the Hawaiian way.
That's the Hawaiian way.
To say Merry Christmas.
Well, that's what Bing Crosby would think, right?
So that's a lie?
He flew over to Hawaii. He's like, Mele Kalikimaka. And they didn't beat him up. So he's like, this must mean Merry Christmas. No, it's not exactly what happened. But some scholars from Hawaii are calling it into question. They're saying, like, the thing is, of course, Christmas was not celebrated in Hawaii until like almost the 1900s, basically. So there is, but obviously the Hawaiian language goes back much further than that.
Yeah.
So there is no word that directly translates to Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas in Hawaiian, in the Hawaiian language. So the person who wrote the song kind of just made it up and tried to match up, what would Christmas be if it wasn't a Hawaiian word, and tried to make it up, but it's still a word that it doesn't actually mean anything the way the person wrote it. And so they're saying basically it's some,
So is it totally a lie?
On the extreme would say that it's offensive and, like cultural appropriation. And then some people would just say, it's just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't actually mean anything, which, I mean, you don't have to be a Hawaiian scholar to know that it's a stupid song.
Well, okay, but they're not calling that part into question. They're just calling...
No, everybody agrees on that.
No, I mean, they're just really trying to fill out what does Mele Kalikimaka word.
Yeah.
So they say the phrase appeared in print in a Hawaiian language newspaper in 1904, but it's not really, again, it's not an exact translation, and it's not really. So a lot of people in Hawaii feel like that is based on like the mainland's version of what they think a Hawaiian Christmas is.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's kind of offensive.
Yeah. Well, this one, this feels like a Christmas song that'd be easy to leave behind, right?
Well, I don't think we really grabbed onto it too much.
I don't know. Actually, I remember it's not this Christmas, but it was a couple Christmases ago. I heard Mele Kalikimaka on the radio driving around with people multiple times by Thanksgiving. And that was when I was like, we're turning the radio off.
Sure.
Once is fool me once, shame on me. Fool me. I always get that wrong.
Fool me once.
Fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah,
Fool me twice, shame on me.
And fool
Mele
me.
Kalikimaka at me twice, and that's it.
So it's gibberish, and they say the two syllables in Christmas became 5 for the Kalikimaka part. But yeah, basically, if you're going to Hawaii, don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's not what you think it is.
It's not.
Yeah.
But there isn't really an equivalent in the Hawaiian language, though, to say Merry Christmas.
You can probably just say Merry Christmas. I think they'll get that.
They'll understand.
Yeah, the Hawaiians will understand.
Hey, they're already eating anyways. Might as well do it on the show. The Riot with Nikki and Hudson, Radio U.
I've got what the answer is according to science, but I just want to hear opinions.
A few options.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin texted in and said alarm clocks, which I responded back. That's a necessary evil, though.
Yeah.
Like, you hate the noise, but it's needed.
But the thing is, with alarm clocks, do you do this? I used to have, I went through for a while, I would have the same song for my alarm clock, and then I'd get tired of that one and I'd switch it. And then eventually I realized that whatever song I set as my alarm clock, I would grow, even though obviously the song that I choose would be a song I like, but then I would grow to hate the song.
Yeah.
Because so whatever sound is waking you up, so that's why I switched it so that I always wake up to the radio because there's something different every time.
Oh, I was going to say, don't hate us.
No, but since it's always something different, I can't grow to hate one single song.
Sure. If not, you hate whatever tone that you pick.
Yeah, that's right.
Ashton sent in all caps, so I think this is a really big annoyance. Pen clicking.
Oh, you don't like this?
I don't really like anything that's repetitive. I think
just once you hear something over and over again.
That's, I think, what really drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Are you clicking your pen over there?
Yeah, you couldn't hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
I don't want to bother Ashton. So.
I blocked you out. Ashton's not even paying attention to you anymore.
Yeah, right. I don't want to make Ashton tune out.
Aaron said for the most annoying noise, small children screaming like velociraptors, especially in public spaces.
You mean like A Christmas Story?
Yeah, like that.
Jason has a good one.
Jason says, my sister gets outright furious when she hears people crunching ice. That is a bad
don't come to the
one.
Radio U studios. Because
that happens.
Some people have a thing for doing that. The actual most annoying sound, according to science, is hearing your neighbors or people above you, hearing their footsteps stomping. Yeah. Well, think about how bothersome that really is, though. Especially if it's like super loud, like if they're stomping, like footsteps is one thing.
Yeah.
But then again, you're talking about repetitive. If you're like they say that there's more concern around it now with so many people working from home where you're spending even more time at home. And so you're even more likely to hear just day in, day out, the people above you walking around all the time. And just that constant sound, that'll drive you crazy.
No,
right?
see, there's a fix for that. You just always pick an apartment that's on the floor above.
Well,
you're the one making noise.
I love your fantasy world where you just get to pick which apartment you're in.
You would never want to be on the bottom floor.
No, you definitely don't.
That's a security issue.
Yeah, that's true. My apartment, it's a duplex. It's a side by side. And it amazes me that I can never hear my neighbors talking. Sometimes I think they're not able to talk, but I can hear them. The only thing I'll ever hear is like quick footsteps. So I think they must have kids.
Sure.
Because why would like adults be running back and forth? That's the only sound I ever can hear.
You mean the little velociraptors?
Yeah, the little velociraptors running back and forth. But this is according to some research from Canada, the National Research Council of Canada, where they conducted some research to find out like what sounds are the most annoying. And they say that either like your neighbors dropping something above you and hitting the ground, or particularly them stomping, those impact sounds
is what is
really annoying. And because it really wears on you, they actually think that it can contribute to developing heart disease if you're exposed to that for
because you get so
time.
anxious.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, like Eric's, his and his roommate, when they had a place, especially if you have like the townhouse apartments where there's like a stair, I think it was like paper thin, the walls.
Yeah.
Because they could be whispering next door and you could totally hear them.
Yep.
And it's just, poorly built.
Yeah. I remember, I'll tell you what doesn't bother me too much is when your neighbors have like loudspeakers. And you can hear them, like you can hear whatever they're watching. You just feel the bass. And I'm like, oh, you must be having fun over there.
Did you not invite me to your party?
Yeah. What movie is that? Can I come over and see you too?
Well, Angela says it's a small world after all. So I think you mean that music from the ride.
Yeah, from the ride.
And Jessica says audio feedback, like plugging in something wrong, or a squeaky clarinet playing.
Ooh, the recorder.
Can you imagine if that's your neighbor? They play the clarinet.
Oh no! What if your neighbor has kids and they're running around screaming and playing the recorder?
You need to move at that point.
Yeah, you definitely do. Or here was my alternative: turn up Radio U really loud.
Yeah, they'll just cover it all.
Yeah, then you're good to go. Well, now we know, according to science and all these suggestions, that There's a lot of annoying sounds in the world.
There's plenty.
Yeah.
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot on Radio U.
You a big Jackie Chan fan?
I've seen a couple of things with him, but
he has some good movies, right?
Does he still do movies?
He's done a lot of movies. He does still do movies. He's been doing, if you go all the way back to when he got started, he's been doing movie stuff for almost 60 years.
Wow.
And he's 68 years old now, still going strong. In fact, the reason I bring him up is, there's two reasons why he's in the news. One, I believe he's getting an honorary Oscar.
Ooh.
Or maybe he just got one. But two, he was doing a Q&A at a film festival in Saudi Arabia. And one of the things that he talked about at this film festival was that Rush Hour 4 is in the works. Do you remember the Rush Hour movies?
Well, Rush Hour, I remember a few years ago became popular, like just as a trend.
Okay.
And I think I watched the 3 of them.
Yeah.
But I only remember the first one the most.
The first one.
Because I remember that when I was younger.
The first one was really good. I have a special place in my heart for the first 2 Rush Hour movies because those were like some of the first movies that when you go from watching kid stuff to watching
like grown-up
things.
Yeah.
And Rush Hour is like my first movie that was like a favorite movie.
More grown-up humor.
As a grown-up. And Jackie Chan is great in that movie. Of course, Chris Tucker is as well.
That's the guy. I thought he was always funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's done too much after.
Yes, he has not done much either. But it's now that Rush Hour 4 is in the works, sounds like, you couldn't do Rush Hour without Chris Tucker.
Of course.
And so Rush Hour 4, according to Jackie Chan, they are in talks to make that happen right now. So for Rush Hour, they went ahead. They did 2 back in the day that were, what was that? That maybe 90s, but probably early 2000s that were fairly popular. A third one that was pretty good. And then they tried to do a TV show. Do you remember that?
I don't. Was that with them or with just two other guys?
No, it was without them. No, it's 2 other guys. And that did not go very well.
Rush Hour TV show.
Yeah.
Feels like a Fox thing. Or
I think it was CBS.
CBS?
Yeah.
It'd be like Rush Hour Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. But the problem was no Jackie Chan, no Chris Tucker.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
Not the same. So
what are you talking about? That ran from March 31st to August 20th.
Wow.
Of the same year.
Wow. It did, so close.
Yeah.
It was almost a hit.
Well, that's cool. I definitely remember it. I just remember it being actually funny.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always happen in the buddy comedy sort of things. But that's cool. Yeah, they're doing a 4th one.
Well, it was a different time, too, where they used to focus on making, it was an action movie, but it was definitely meant to be a comedy where they don't make, more movies now are action movies, and maybe they'll have a little bit of comedy, but that's not what this was. Also, it was interesting, Jackie Chan was talking about why he's had such a long career and so much success with it, and he says because he has so much control, it's important for him to have so much control over
what he makes.
From making action stuff, from the writing to the filming of it and whatever that fits his style.
Yeah.
Where other action movie stars are just thrown into movies. It's like, oh, you're an action star, do action stuff. We wrote this action movie and now you do it. Or Jackie Chan's like, no, we've got to make this movie to fit me, not I have to fit the action movie.
Well, also, the more involved an actor is in the movie, the more they'll make.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the equivalent of our bands when they actually write their songs.
Mm-hmm.
You make money if you're the one who writes the music.
Yeah.
You don't make it if you're just performing it.
Yep.
You have to have the writing stuff.
The more credits that you have to your name.
Credits equals the money.
Equals the money. So, I'm a big Jackie Chan fan. I hope Rush Hour 4 doesn't take too long to get here, although it sounds like it's still pretty early in the process. But that'll be a lot of fun. The Devil Wears Prada.
The Riot with Hudson and Nikki on Radio U.
during the Christmas party, one of the things we're going to do, Christmas cookie decorating competition.
Now, okay, we're not allowed to decorate the cookies in the studio.
Because it'll be too messy?
Yes, like we can't with our equipment.
We don't want like sprinkles everywhere.
No, and nor does our Chris. Chris doesn't. They don't want to clean up. So basically, we have to come into the event with our cookies decorated, and then you guys will help us get to vote, including the next morning during the show, on who did the best job with their cookies.
Now, talking of Christmas cookies, do you leave cookies out for Santa when you were a child?
I used to always do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you ever think about like Santa eating all those cookies? Like you weren't the only home that put out those cookies. It's a lot of houses, a lot of cookies to eat.
You haven't watched Violent Night, the new movie?
No, why?
It gets covered, all the cookies that he eats and what he drinks.
They explain it?
Well, it's just very obvious. You're like, wow, how's he doing all that?
Well, in Violent Night, he probably burns off all the cookie calories
when he fights
by beating up people. Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, that with the drink. Poor Santa. You're worried about his health.
I guess I am, especially after I have here a company called Kuru Footwear that went ahead and calculated how many calories is Santa actually ingesting on Christmas Eve when he's going all around the world and eating cookies and drinking milk at every single household.
How much would that be?
How much is he actually ingesting there? Well, this is how they calculate it. They say 1 cup of 1% milk per house.
Yeah.
That's 102 calories.
Yeah, because Santa in the movie covers how he doesn't like skim.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah. Well, Santa, you know what? You're
not getting whole milk.
No, definitely not.
Who can afford whole milk?
So 78 calories per 1 chocolate chip cookie.
Oh gosh, that's a lot.
Is how they calculated it, and then they also wanted to find out how much the reindeer are each eating.
Well, I'm also worried too because
1 carrot per reindeer, that's 52 calories.
Because we're not putting usually chocolate chip cookies out. Usually you're putting like sugar cookies out.
Well, the other thing too is you're not just putting out 1 cookie. And I don't know about how things went with Santa at your house, but Santa didn't very often leave any cookies on the plate. So he's eating, who knows, 4 or 5 cookies at some houses, maybe even more, and chugging that whole thing of milk. So even if you were just to suggest that he ate 1 chocolate chip cookie and drank 1 glass of milk, 1% milk per house, that equals out to, in total, 30.9 billion calories of cookies, 40.4 billion calories of milk.
Added together.
Every year, 71.2 billion calories Santa's taking in.
Oh, no, you can mark that off. That's fine.
You know what? I like that you brought that up because...
Oh, he's not even walking around a whole lot, too, his reindeer.
The reindeer are pulling him around. But if he was to walk off all those calories, you know how many miles he would have to walk?
1 billion?
5. Why can't I ever say numbers?
These are big numbers.
They are big.
Normally, I don't understand why it's so hard for us to do numbers, but these are actually big ones.
Santa would have to walk to burn off all of the calories that he ingests just on Christmas Eve from cookies and milk. He would have to walk 503 million miles.
Oh, it's fine.
And you're like, what does that really mean, though? That is, for comparison, he would have to walk around the earth at its equator, the biggest part of the earth. He would have to walk around the earth about 20,000 times.
What else after Christmas do you have to do?
He's got a whole year. But he'd have to go the whole rest of the year without eating and only walking.
They say you would gain at that point 20.4 million pounds on Christmas Eve.
That's the real Christmas.
But imagine I don't know, the calories. You'd blow up at that point.
Yeah. How does he, and we never even talk about Santa bathroom breaks. because you're drinking all of that milk, eating all those cookies. It's not going to be pretty, I can't imagine.
Well, just know that it's Christmas cookies, and we all know that at Christmas time, Christmas cookies don't count.
That's right. Those calories, it's Christmas magic.
It doesn't happen.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, Chris is our engineer here at Radio U.
Yes.
When something goes wrong with any of our equipment, the first thing we do is tell Chris, call Chris on the phone. And the first thing anybody who's ever dealt with any like IT professionals or whatever, the first thing, what do they always tell you to do? What does Chris say?
Restart it.
Have you tried restarting? Have you tried
and sometimes that works, but most of the time it's beyond that.
Yeah, you know what? Because usually
we try it first.
If we're calling him, we've tried that.
Yeah.
But, I think a lot of people don't. But it is amazing. I was going to say it's actually amazing. I especially think of like with my phone. If my phone's like glitching out or the computer is glitching out, it's amazing how many times just resetting it, just turning it off and on again does actually fix it.
Well,
the problem just goes away.
You don't realize, we're asking these things to be on all the time.
Yep.
To do a lot.
Yeah,
and
your
never,
phone, for
never
years
get a refresh.
at a time, you want it to never break. It's amazing that's possible. We are asking a lot of our devices. And it is pretty.
Thank you, phone. We love you.
We appreciate you. You appreciate all that you do, all the hard work you put in, and Chris too. But sometimes I find myself thinking this a lot in life, is that I wish I could hit a reset button in life where you eventually hit a point every so often where you think, man, I just wish I could kind of I wish there was a reset button for life.
Especially, or even just the day.
Reset the day. Yeah. And, there kind of is. And that comes from God. Jesus wants to come in and give you a new start on life. You've been doing things a certain way. You've been going along, and a lot has been asked of you, I'm sure, just like a lot has been asked of our phones and computers and everything. And sometimes you just need a break. You just need to start over and do things a little differently. And God is offering that to you. Jesus is ready to take some of that burden off of you and take it onto him. If you're going through a lot, if you want to restart, if things just aren't going quite the way you want them to, and you're like, man, I just want to hit the reset button, God will help you hit the reset button. Start talking to him. Say, hey, Jesus, I need some help here. I need a reset. Whatever that means, I need you to show me what that means and how to be able to access that. And God will.
And sometimes I know this is weird, but our phone is our only really example of this. But you're like, you don't want to restart your phone.
Yes.
You don't want to.
You're like, no,
why?
I need to do this right now. You're so right.
But then
even though, what does it take? Like 15 seconds to restart?
But it is so annoying. You're like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But then afterwards,
why should I have to restart it?
You feel so much better because then it starts to work.
You are so right. And that is so accurate to this as well. Maybe you're putting it off. You're like, nah, why should I have to? But no, it's important. Say, hey, God, I want to restart. I want to refresh. Unplug me and plug me back in. I need some help here. And Jesus will do that for you. If you want to know more, radiou.com/free gift is a good place for you to start.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
We are Isaiah-less today.
Oh, he's off today.
Yeah, I hope he's having a good time.
I hope he's doing nothing. That's the best day off.
You think?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You think, I've asked him before, but do you think he's listening today?
No, probably not. I think
probably not.
His plan was to watch, he said, all of Thursday Night Football. Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then just sleep in.
Did you hear what happened on Thursday Night Football last night?
No, what was it?
Where you remember Baker Mayfield, right?
Yes. Baker was the...
Oh, yeah. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Oh, hang on. Was he the Browns guy?
He was on the Browns.
And then he was the quarterback.
Uh-huh.
And then they brought the Deshaun Watson.
I thought you were going to use a word to describe Deshaun Watson.
No.
The massage guy.
The massage guy. I knew. And then the Baker guy went to the Panthers.
Whoa, you're doing good.
It's all in here.
Yeah,
and
it's like you're a sports expert.
Did they let him go, or is he still on the Panthers?
Yeah, they let him go.
They let him go. And I think there was just
There's no chance you know which team he went to after that.
Oh, hang on.
This all happened this week.
I'm not even looking at text messages. Did he go to? Oh, I know it too because I saw it. And wasn't it the team that played last night?
It was the team that played last night.
It wasn't.
Mind you, he was cut from the Panthers sometime after their game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they even played on Sunday. But like in the last 4 days, he left the Panthers and got signed with this new team.
Okay, give me the two team options and I can tell you from there.
It was the Raiders and the Rams last night.
He went to the Rams.
He did go to the Rams, and you know what he did last night?
Did he win?
He won. He led a 98-yard game-winning drive.
Good for him. I don't have any ill will towards him. It's great if he does well.
No, yeah, he has a strong personality.
People.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is he probably played better in the game last night than Deshaun Watson, his replacement, did in the game against the Texans on Sunday. But then again, Deshaun Watson hadn't played football in like 2 years.
Well, good for the Rams.
Yeah, good for the Rams, good for Baker Mayfield. And that's your football talk for the show. That's all Nikki can recall.
Hey, I think I did pretty good, right?
The Packers are off this week, so I can't ask you about Aaron Rodgers. So.
Listen, when you guys talk, I do pay attention.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to learn.
Quizzed you. I should have asked who the Packers play because I know you wouldn't know.
Who the Packers played?
Who they play this Sunday.
Oh, I don't know future stuff.
No.
It's only once you tell me.
Yeah, okay, yeah, they don't play this week.
Okay.
All right, coming up
Is that
next.
called a bye week?
Yeah, look at you. You could be on ESPN.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazon is courting me. They would like me to do their Thursday football.
You could be a sideline reporter.
That's right.
Or you could be in the booth. They let ladies do that now, too.
Oh, thank you.
What? No,
I can get out of the kitchen and get into the booth?
No, like typically, and it's typically... No, listen. Typically, right?
What if I'm barefoot?
No, women when it comes to football, they're only normally the sideline reporters, and that's if they're lucky. Maybe they can be host in the studio, but one day, and this day may be coming soon, maybe they'll let a lady like yourself actually do play-by-play for the game.
Well, if you want me...
Maybe Doris Burke one day.
If you want me to, I only work in studios, so...
Oh, okay.
That's my requirement.
All right. Well, I hope you get to do that one day.
They won't hire me because it'll be like, wait, hang on, guys. I know this one.
Yeah, you would take a while if you're actually doing play-by-play.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I know what he just did there. It was... offsides.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I'd have to go, yes, that's correct.
Hey.
Very well done.
And I'd be like, that thingy.
Yeah, right. You mean the field goal post?
No, I mean the football.
Yeah, that's.
I can see the money coming now.
You're going to need a lot of training.
Yeah,
right.
no, I'm good.
All right. Well, coming up next, we're going to talk about Pete Davidson. It actually relates to football.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
You've seen a lot of people posting about their Spotify Wrapped lately, right?
Yeah.
That's
Tis
a pretty
the
big
season.
thing. It's a lot of fun. I know Nene and I both take that very seriously. We listen to a lot of Spotify.
I think Nene takes it more seriously than you.
I think he does.
He actually goes back, and I think he listens to the whole list.
Uh-huh.
And he goes back to like the top, not the top one, but the bottom of the top.
Yeah.
And it's a thing.
He said he likes his number one to be a surprise, even though he probably knows what it is.
He knows what it is.
Well,
sure.
I know pretty much what mine was too, so it wasn't like I didn't have to drum up any excitement for my own self. But there's Spotify Wrapped. There's a lot of year-end things now that come out that kind of capitalize on that. And you know who else wants to capitalize on like the year-end lists and reports and whatever is McDonald's.
Oh, on what you ordered for the year?
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
I don't know exactly.
That's a great idea.
How to fit if
it's probably in the app.
Yeah, I went in the app and I couldn't find it yet. So maybe they just haven't sent it to me or whatever, or maybe it's something that's coming in a few days. But McDonald's has put out what they call their Fannual report
for 2022.
See what they're doing there.
So it goes from January 1st to October 9th for whatever you ordered when you were logged in with your account.
Yeah. So if you are able to get your Fannual report from McDonald's, they will put you into one of 5 different McDonald's fan categories, depending on how much you ordered. You could be a newbie.
Mm-hmm.
You have the McDonald's. That means you have the McDonald's app on your phone,
but you hardly
use it infrequently. Then there's Insider. You order a little more frequently, but more importantly, you order pretty much the same thing every time you open the app.
I think that's me.
You have a routine.
Yeah.
How often do you think? Once a week?
I haven't gone to McDonald's in a while.
Oh.
I went, okay, you ready? I went during the Boo Bucket season.
Oh, that's not that long ago.
Because I wanted a pumpkin Boo Bucket.
Yeah.
Never got it.
You didn't get it?
I got the ghost and the green one, but I didn't get the Boo Bucket.
Dang.
I wanted the pumpkin one.
Yeah.
But yeah, around that time, it'd be my same order of trying to get that bucket.
A Happy Meal every time.
I just usually
like
nuggets.
Happy Meal for Nikki.
Nuggets or a Big Mac.
Then there's Low Key. This is basically a combination. You don't use the app very often, but you do vary up your orders.
Yeah.
Then there's CEO, which means you redeem your McDonald's rewards points a lot. And you get the rewards points and use them for popular menu items. And finally, Carpe All Day.
You're always at McDonald's.
You deserve a sponsorship deal for how much and how often you use the McDonald's app. That feels like
Isaiah.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say it feels like that is a wake-up call, if that's you.
That's a worry.
Which, to be fair, but not that I'm casting judgment on anybody, because that might be me too. I check in at McDonald's
quite a lot,
fairly frequently, and I do use those points.
So if you get your
up.
McDonald's persona, if you share it on Instagram, you could win 250,000 McDonald's reward points and use those then however you would like, which could then turn around next year and get you even more.
They also went ahead, and what I can tell you is that they put out like the report for McDonald's fans in general, where I can find the most popular menu item at McDonald's. French fries.
Yeah.
That's the number one ordered thing, followed by the cheeseburger. That's surprising.
Well,
over the Big
like
Mac, over the double cheeseburger, and then finally, third place, the McChicken.
Ew.
You don't like the McChicken?
Only the nuggets.
My wife gets the McChicken a lot.
Well, then tell
the
her
McChicken
what
is so cheap.
Tell her what she's done.
That's the benefit. Yeah, she's helped it. It's third place at McDonald's, surprisingly enough. Well, there you have it, your Fannual report from McDonald's. For some, a harsh look in the mirror.
Tell you you're going too often.
Yes, a difficult reminder.
Audio Jungle.